take the blue pill, take the red pill, take the blue pill. Take the red pill, take the blue pill, take the red pill, take the blue pill. Take the red pill, take the blue pill, take the red pill, take the blue pill. You take the red pill, and I show you how deep the rabbit hole goes. This is your last chance. After this, there is no turning back. You take the blue pill, the story ends. You wake up in your bed and believe whatever you want to believe. You take the red pill, 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 take the red. You stay in Wonderland. You stay in Wonderland, and I show you how deep the rabbit hole goes.
You're listening to the Red Pill Reality Show with your host, Riscalla, every Saturday night on the LNM Network from 9 p.m. to midnight. And now your host, Riscalla.
Take the red pill, take the blue pill, take the red pill, take the blue pill.
Well, hello and welcome everyone. It is the Red Pill Reality Show, an honor and a privilege to be with you tonight. Thank you for taking the time to listen in and allowing me to share some of the stuff that I have run across. My gosh, this last week, another crazy week. I swear, as time goes on, I believe more and more we are in what people would call the Twilight Zone. I am not kidding you. Here we have a Congress that wants to arrest the Attorney General. Are you ready for this? Wants to arrest the Attorney General for obeying the law. We have arrived. Oh my gosh. Yeah, we're going to hold him in contempt. Why? Because he won't release the complete unredacted version of the Mueller report. Mind you now that he has released a Mueller report to them for their viewing with approximately 0.1% that has been redacted. So it's about 99% there. And what they're asking for is information about the grand juries that were invoked. And they know by law that whatever the grand jury's information is protected. It is not to be released by law. So here we have an attorney general that is obeying the law, and we have a Congress that says, well, we're going to arrest you, even threaten to put you in jail if you don't break the law. How crazy have we gotten? I swear. We're back into the never ever ending craziness. How can this be reality? This is the craziest thing, I'm telling you. These people have totally lost it. They've totally gone over the deep end. Now, I have my reasons for thinking why they have. It's my personal opinion that many of them know that if they cannot stop Donald Trump is going to stop them. This is what it boils down to. These people have been acting criminally for decades. And there is so much that is going to be exposed. If you think they've exposed a lot now, you just wait. there is even more. As time progresses and more digging goes on, more and more is exposed. And these people on the other side, and when I say the other side, it's not just the Democrats. There are many Republicans that are involved in this fiasco. They know that it has come to a point where it's either them or Trump. Some of them don't even care anymore. They're in your face with the most amazing, I mean, just the brass that they have is just amazing. That they're not even trying to hide it, some of these people. They don't care. How do you justify not helping the American people be safer by building a fence, a wall, whatever the heck you want to call it, on the southern border, when we had in 1 month alone 100,000 people come over that border? 100,000 just in 1 month. February of this year, I believe, was 72,000. So on one side, in one breath, they're saying, oh no, we can't build a wall, blah, 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 blah. But on the other breath, they're saying we need to take your guns away so you can be safer. Are we not living in the Twilight Zone? I don't think Rod Sterling could have written a more unbelievable storyline. I just don't think so. I would never, ever have imagined in my wildest dreams that I would see the country that I grew up in the condition that it is in today, honestly. What I have learned in my life's experience in the short time that I've been on this planet is we have nobody to blame but ourselves. These people are ruthless, they're deceiving, they are cunning, but we have allowed them to do what they're doing. Now that it has been exposed, there is no excuse for people to continue to allow this to go on. We have an election coming up where it is absolutely vital to the future of this country. If you want America to be free, I mean free, then you better get involved in this next election. And I mean you and your friends and your family and anybody else that you have an influence over better get involved. You better start working on getting rid of the criminals that are up there that call themselves representatives, because they don't give a rat's behind about you or me. They're serving themselves and the corporations that have purchased them. There's going to be a whole bunch of them leaving this coming election cycle. This is the opportunity for the American people to literally show who has the power. It's just sad that people have to spend so much money. It was never designed this way. It is really, really sad that people have to come up with all of this money in order to be able to go serve. They're supposed to serve. They're not served. They're being served. But they're supposed to be serving just like a serviceman would serve in the military. But they've taken that and they've abused it and they've twisted it. And now it is something where many of them feel as though they are almost like a king over us. They don't have to obey the laws we obey. They don't use the same medical insurance that we use. They don't use the same retirement funds that we use. They get the cream of the crop of everything. They are not living as an average American would live, and that's how it was intended. Go up there, do your time, come back, let someone else go up there, do their time, come back. A constant renewal of people is why they only wanted them to serve a couple of years. But we see them, yeah, well, this is 1 term, 2 terms, 10 terms, 12 terms, 15 terms. It was not intended to be this way. We have people that have been involved in our government for almost, I was going to say half a decade, but I think it's like 30 years. 30 years. And now they feel like as though they are indispensable. Not only are they indispensable, they're untouchable. They can do whatever in the world they feel like doing, like threatening to arrest and put in jail the Attorney General for obeying the law. I understand that they are in a panic, and they well should be. Many of these people are going to jail, some even worse. Their behinds are on the fire right now. They're doing everything that they can to keep from getting burned. But the information I keep running across tells me it's too late. Attorney General Barr has announced that he is going to begin looking into the Hillary Clinton investigation. And why, exactly why, after it was documented that this individual committed several different felonies, one of which is destroying government property, knowingly, after it had been subpoenaed. So he'll be looking into HRC and her wonderful little workings. He's also said he's going to look into why and how was a decision made that would allow the surveillance of an American citizen, let alone a candidate for president, let alone the president. Things are beginning to unravel rapidly for the dark side. There is a great deal of concern on their side, and well, there should be, about what Donald Trump has created. They know that if they cannot impeach this president, he will be reelected. They've said that openly. We have to impeach him. If we don't, he'll get reelected. I mean, for people who are anything close to being involved with our country, how could you reelect anyone whose whole goal is to nothing more than, and mind you, the person they want to impeach hasn't done anything that is impeachable. It is only because they're not happy with him, not because he has done a poor job, because he has not because he has broken the law, because he has not because he colluded with the Russians, because after some odd years and how many millions of dollars, it has been determined he has not because he obstructed anybody's way in regard of that investigation. None of that. Only because they are upset because he became the President of the United States after the 2016 election. That's it. It's nothing more than that. They've done everything that they can to discredit the man. Everything. And it hasn't worked. And anyone who supports Trump, unfortunately, gets the short end of the stick with these people. But all of that is about to take a 180-degree turn. The investigators are about to be investigated. There is much evidence that has been released now that shows there is no question that the initial documents that the FBI and the CIA used to get the authorization to spy, you call it what you want, it's spying. I don't understand this whole deal. Oh, well, we surveil. We don't spy. What's the difference? There's no difference to me between the two. As a matter of fact, when I look it up, So Attorney General Barr has announced that he is going to look into those who did this, specifically focused at why and how. And both of those are going to bite these people very, very hard, right where it counts. People are going to prison, and worse. I really believe that before the last midterms, we were going to see a massive amount of arrests. I was completely wrong. All the intel that I was reading led up to that. Nobody said specifically that it was going to happen, but it just had that feel to it, like this is it. We've reached the peak. It's going to burst. Then after that didn't happen prior to the elections, I said, well, you know what? They're waiting for after the elections. That way they can get the people who committed fraud in order to get into office. And many of them have committed fraud. It is documented and it is known. Well, it didn't occur then either. And then I read an article about a piece of legislation, an executive order, not legislation, forgive me, an executive order that the president had written that was going to go into effect January 1st of this year. And I said, that's it. They're waiting for the January 1st, even though that the intel that I had was saying people have already been arrested, court-martials had already started. The word had gone out that John McCain had been executed, as well as George Bush Sr. But then all of that didn't seem to make any sense to me. After a while, I'm thinking to myself, if all that is the case, why is it all these people are beginning to cooperate? Why do they continue to fight with tooth and nail and make it worse for themselves? Maybe that's their way of going. I don't know. I do know that the tables are turning. That literally, I believe next week, this coming week, we're going to see some big things happening. I said about a couple of weeks ago, maybe 3 weeks ago, I expect to see big names going down, one of them being Clinton, arrested. Now, she may get out the same day, or it may just be an informal thing where they say she's arrested, but they really don't go out and put the cuffs on and all that. She's just been arrested. But there's not going to be any hiding from this any longer. There's not going to be any more that they can do to stop this. Their only option, well, they have two options. One is to admit that they've done wrong and see what kind of justice they're going to get for it, or to get rid of this president. That's their options. And they have tried repeatedly to get rid of this man. And I don't mean just impeachment. His life has been threatened many times. I know of at least a dozen times where his life has been physically threatened. And then the documents from the FBI, the documents from one of the top agents of the FBI hint very strongly that they will do anything they need to do to get rid of him. Anything. John F. Kennedy was someone who worked a parallel path, very similar in certain ways to Donald Trump. He wasn't part of the good old boys club. He saw things a little differently than all of them up there. He saw the problems that were being created. He was presented with an opportunity to attack Cuba and asked them why. And they said, well, we need to expand. And he refused, and because he refused, it caused a great debacle. He was betrayed on many levels before he was murdered openly. I believe one of the deciding factors that caused his death was his literal spit in the face of the Federal Reserve by introducing silver-backed currency. He had the Treasury, who has the right legally to print money. And the money that was printed was precious metal backed. Most of it was silver backed. Some of it was gold backed, but most of it was silver backed. And across the top of our dollars, it didn't say Federal Reserve note. It said silver certificate. You could take one of those silver certificates to any of the banks that were branches of the Fed, hand it to the teller, and ask them to give you a silver dollar, 99.9% pure silver, approximately a little over 3/4 of an ounce, for that dollar. That dollar today would be worth about 13 of our existing dollars, because that's what silver is going for. Actually, it's going for a little more than that an ounce, and this was about 3/4 of an ounce, so it'd be about $13. I think it's going for about $15 or $17 an ounce currently. So it'd be worth about 13 times more. Imagine if you're somebody who makes only $10 an hour, but now you have money that's worth 13, excuse me, that is worth 13 times more. Now you may have an idea of how they have ripped us off. Have they literally stolen from us? And I say they, this small group of people, this cabal that has run this Ponzi scheme for so long. The Fed is only a part of it. You have the Fed, then you have the IRS, and then you have people who knowingly allow this to continue, and they are within our government. Knowingly that what is going on is, number one, it's unconstitutional. It is the very definition of slavery. For someone to take from the sweat of your brow is the very definition of slavery. You worked, then it belongs to you, 100%. There is nowhere, anywhere, in any of the legislation that we have that authorizes this government to take from you that which you have worked to earn. Now, if you have money that's working for you, and that money makes you money, that's a little different. But the money that you physically work to earn, they have no authority to take from you. So taxing you is stealing from you. And there are people in our government that know this, but yet they allow it to continue. With regard to the silver certificates, the reason I mention that, Donald Trump has said we're going to bring back the gold standard. I don't know if you've heard of that or not, but the gold standard at one time is what launched the United States dollar as the world currency. We were the number one. Can't say that anymore. The gold standard meant that everything that was printed wasn't just printed out of thin air, as you hear today. They literally print money out of thin air. The reason that they're able to do that is there's no backing. That Federal Reserve note is nothing more than an IOU, a promise to pay, nothing more. The difference between that and the gold standard means that you don't have an IOU. You have a receipt. You have a certificate that can be turned in for a precious metal. So when they print those dollars, they have to have the precious metal that backs them up in reserve. That way they just can't print money and go, okay, we'll give it serial number 1,000 to 1 million. Can't work that way if you don't have what it takes to back it up. Guess what? The Federal Reserve doesn't have the stuff to back it up. He has talked openly about closing down the Federal Reserve. This is what I believe got the deciding factor to the murder of our president at the time, John F. Kennedy. Because he decided that he would work around the Fed, and the workaround, instead of trying to shut them down, was to be a competitor. We don't need them. There is no reason in the world for us to have the Federal Reserve. None, period. End of sentence. We have a treasury that has the authority to print our money. Why do we need the Federal Reserve? If you don't know this by now, you should. The Federal Reserve is not part of our government. The Federal Reserve has nothing to do with our government. The Federal Reserve is a private bank, privately owned. It is a case of deception. Why would they call it the Federal Reserve? Why is it that we know that Federal Express, if I say to you, ship at Federal Express, you know doggone well our government has nothing to do with that. Because they've made it very clear that they have nothing to do with the government. Early on, they used to advertise Federal Express and then in the fine print, especially on TV, not affiliated with the federal government. But yet you see the Federal Reserve very official looking. Their buildings are official looking, their symbols are official looking. Why? If they're not part of our government, why do they give the appearance as though they are? And you can be easily removed from any of their properties because they're not public. They're not open to the public. They are private. So Donald Trump has said he wants to put an end to the Federal Reserve. Another reason for them to do away with him. We have reached a point in this country where many who are lawyers, I mean, these people in Congress, most of them are lawyers. They know the law already. We have reached a point in this country where lawyers want other lawyers to break the law, and if they don't, they threaten to put them in jail. Do you understand the ramifications of this? That means that basically anybody can let me back up a minute. That means that these people can basically lock you up at any given time for just about any reason they want. Well, Riscalla, you got a subpoena to come to testify before Congress. Well, I don't feel like going. Well, then we're going to put you in jail. Well, what did I do wrong? We don't know. We're going to find out when we talk to you. That's not how it's supposed to work. Or better yet, I've already testified before you for God knows how many hours, and now you want me to come back and do some more. Just like they're doing to the president's son. This is harassment. That's what this is at this point. It is harassment. It is an open, what am I trying to say? An open example of harassment, of the overuse of authority. And I believe, without question, I believe, these people are in a panic because they know if they don't get away with this, this is it. Ship is sinking. Lifeboats are gone. If they can't take care of this properly, the ship is going to go completely down before they can get to port and get back on land. The rats are jumping. What's more important is that people be aware of what's going on. What's more important is that people understand that we have a responsibility as citizens of this country to take this country back, because if the Democrats get their way, they're the first ones to cry about foreign interference in our elections. They're the first ones. And yet they want all of these people who don't belong here, who have entered into our country against our laws, they want them to have a say-so. We're back in the twilight zone. You want to continue living like this? Not me. I have no patience for these people anymore. They really, if it were up to me, if it were within my authority, I would have every one of them arrested up there, just about. There's clearly no regard for the American citizen, and in every regard for their own and corporate needs. That's it. And many times what they do is they look to the citizen as the problem, and the people who are here that are not supposed to be here as their solution. Twilight zone. I tell you, I swear, it's Twilight zone. We live in the Twilight zone. I want to get out of the Twilight zone. I can't deal with this. These people are, not only are they illogical, the criminal aspect of these people is completely beyond. I'm getting wound up. It is unbelievable to me. Maybe it's just me, but it's unbelievable to me how we can see what's going on. I mean, it's being documented day in and day out. We have many people who are actually reporting the truth now. And yet people choose to believe that, the Mueller report did not exonerate the president. The Mueller report just left more questions. The Mueller report means that we have to have more investigations. Meanwhile, our country needs to be moving forward. Instead, we're bogged down in this toro poo-poo, as my favorite pastor used to tell me. And that's exactly what it is. It's just nonsense. But do you understand it's you and I who are suffering because of this? Because these people can't stop arguing. These people can't work with the president. They're delaying what we need to have done as much as they can. Who's going to hold them responsible? You and me. Wow, where'd that come from? Was that the Twilight Zone again? I'm telling you, it's the Twilight Zone. It's you and me who have to hold these people responsible. If we don't, the situation just gets worse. Is that what you want to look forward to for your children or your children's children or your loved ones? Where an out-of-control Congress can literally subpoena you for just about anything they want, and if you disagree, they can threaten to put you in jail. And when you ask, why do you need to subpoena me? What laws have I broken? What is it all about? They say, well, we don't know. We'll find out when we talk to you. What happened to the Fourth Amendment? The right to be free in our home. Because if you're sitting in your home and you get the subpoena and you decide that you're not going, they're going to come to your home. Not a good thing.
You're listening to the Red Pill Reality Show on the LNM Network. Don't go away. We'll be right back.
Do you need toner for your Epson, Hewlett-Packard, Canon, Brother, Apple, or Sharp printers? Look no further than Laser Technologies. In business for over 20 years, they offer the lowest prices on toner on the web. They can also repair your laser printers and toners fast and easy. Call their expert staff today at 561-792-9600 or email us at service@laser-technologies.com for all your toner needs. All toner is shipped nationwide. Why wait? Get the lowest prices on toner. Call or email us today.
Grace has some pretty stellar arms, like Serena Williams good, but her face is pretty disgusting.
Someone please tell him to go back into his closet and leave us alone.
Britney's face is so stupid and I hate her so much. It's like a scientist created her in a lab to annoy humanity and didn't even do that good of a job.
Megan reminds me of a troll doll that came to life intent on killing us with her stupidity.
Why is Grace's head so big? It definitely has nothing to do with how smart she is and probably everything to do with how bloated she is.
He's so funny. Just kidding. Who would find this disfigured flamingo funny?
Never post a selfie of yourself. You look so ugly.
The only reason you have so many views is because we think you're a freak and we can't look away.
Megan is the main reason that the world sucks so much.
I would rather get cancer than listen to another Trevor Moran song.
You are a mistake. You should have never been born.
Drown yourself in a shallow puddle, please.
Wow, I hope she's sterile.
These really stopped being funny a long time ago.
You're so much more than the things that people say about you.
Those people have no right to say cruel things to you to make themselves feel better.
It's okay that you sound different than everyone else.
That's what makes you so special.
We will not tolerate it. We will not tolerate it.
We will not tolerate it.
We will not tolerate it.
Every day, people make me feel like I stand out simply because of the way that I look.
Every day people make me feel small.
Every day I face the cruel words of bullying.
And every day people tell me that I'm brave for enduring this humiliation.
But we're not the brave ones.
It's the ones that say no to the bullying.
The witnesses.
If we all join together, there's nothing that we can't do. We will no longer be the silent majority.
When we see bullying online,
We will let the world know that we're going to take action with the eye.
Now, when you see online bullying, there's something you can do about it.
Our actions will overpower cruel words.
I am a witness.
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 There is power in words.
But it's nothing compared to the power of the actions that we put behind our words.
Visit eyewitnessbullying.org to learn more.
I am a witness, and so are you.
I'm gonna stand by you.
This station is now the ultimate power in the universe.
We have ignition. Strap in. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Take the red pill, take the blue pill, take the red pill, take the blue pill. Take the red pill, take the blue pill, take the red pill, take the blue pill. Take the red pill, take the blue pill, take the red pill, take the blue pill. You take the red pill, and I show you how deep the rabbit hole goes. This is your last chance. After this, there is no turning back. You take the blue pill, the story ends. You wake up in your bed and believe whatever you want to believe. You take the red pill, 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 take the red. You stay in Wonderland. You stay in Wonderland, and I show you how deep the rabbit hole goes.
You're listening to the Red Pill Reality Show with your host, Riscalla, every Saturday night on the LNM Network from 9 p.m. to midnight. And now your host, Riscalla.
All right. Well, we are back. It's the Red Pill Reality Show. I am your host, Riscalla. Tonight I will have Angel Strong with me as well. I'll bring her on in just a moment. And it is an honor and a privilege, I mean that, to have you guys tune in and help us with the radio station. Keep going. We do the best that we can do to bring you information I believe a lot of times that you don't readily find anywhere else. And we make it available to you for, I'm telling you, if you frequent one of these places like McDonald's or Burger King or something like that, I think the meals are like $5, right? So if you want to call that food. But anyway, for $5, you get a month's subscription with us. Michael has made it clear from the very beginning that it's really not about money, but unfortunately because of the system that we're involved in, their money has to, a degree of that has to happen. We have electric bills. We have, continuous bills that we pay to be on the internet. And so it's not about trying to get rich off of the listenership. It's just trying to maintain a network that is worthy of you guys. And I believe we've done a good job. And just please remember, when I ask you to subscribe, I don't ask people of anything that I don't do myself. Several years ago, I was crazy about the chemtrail thing. I was telling people, you need to go find your local authorities and talk to your local authorities. Well, I was going to the police stations and trying to talk to the different officers there. I tried to get a hold of the sheriff here in Palm Beach County, but they thought I was crazy. So I was asking people to do that. I was doing that. I'm asking people to please subscribe. I am a subscriber. From the very beginning, I've been a subscriber. The reason is I believe in what we're doing. I believe in trying to spread knowledge. Some of it is educational. Some of it is I can't think of the word I'm trying to find, but it's regardless of how you look at it, it's well worth the $5. The value that you get for the $5 is far and beyond. And so please let your friends know what we do here. Tell them to come on over, get informed with us, join in, help us out. We'll take donations as well. Any of that stuff is available on latenightinthemidlands.com. I'm grateful to Michael Vera because he allowed me a platform to reach a lot more people than I was reaching. I was doing it on a one-to-one basis. I was literally carrying with me, at any given time, I would have like 10 different kinds of CDs with me or DVDs with me. And I would be speaking with people one-on-one. And if I felt that they were interested enough and they were going to watch the movies that I had, I would give them a movie for free and then ask them, please, these are movies that are not copyrighted. You can, purposely not copyrighted. You can copy them and spread them out. So have the ability to be on the radio, oh my goodness, now, I reach hundreds of people. So I'm very grateful for that. Anyway, I have Angel Strong with me tonight, and Angel is starting her new show. She actually did the first show last Monday. I heard every minute of it. I wouldn't dare miss it. I kind of worked everything around it so I could hear it. Great, did a great job for her first show. I think it went very well. She'll be back on next Monday. So let me bring her up. Hello, Miss Angel. How are you, my dear? Are you there? I can't hear you. Did you mute your phone, Miss Angel? I still can't hear you. Want to try calling me back? Oh, wait a minute. Okay, it's a problem on my end. You'll have to call me back because I'm seeing that, I don't know why, but it's muted and it's permanently muted. So if you would call me right back and I'll bring you back on. People, give me just a moment. I'll take another quick break. Let me fix this problem. I don't know why it's doing this, but it's something that just occurred, probably from one of the wonderful Windows updates. So let me see here. Where's Buddy Brown at? Let's see if we can find Buddy Brown.
We ain't about to get along, and I know why. You think we owe you when we don't. Yeah, there's a welfare line wrapping round Main Street. That money ought to help our boys coming back from overseas. We're gonna paint this country red like Reagan. Gonna shoot our guns, gonna eat our bacon. There's a great big bald eagle who's smiling on us. And soldiers who died for your privilege to fuss. If you wanna leave, you can't take it no more. Man, I'll show you the damn door. I'll show you the damn door. And all these protests, you're throwing out some heavy words, and I'm just wondering, how the hell'd you get off work? Cause I got 65 long hours that I just put in last week. Now I gotta go back home, hear you whining on TV. We're about to paint this country red like Reagan. Gonna shoot our guns, gonna eat our bacon. There's a great big bald eagle who's smiling on us. And soldiers who died for your privilege to fuss. If you wanna leave, you can't take it no more. Man, I'll show you the damn door. We're about to paint this country red like Reagan. Gonna shoot our guns and eat that bacon. There's a great big bald eagle who's smiling on us. And soldiers who died for your privilege to fuss. If you wanna leave, cause you can't take it no more. And I'll show you the damn door. I'll show you the damn door. Get out.
All right, that is Buddy Brown, Red Like Reagan. You can find it in any of the stores. I love that song because that's really how I feel. You know, you guys, many of them that are here that have found themselves in places of our government are openly in our face telling us they want to fundamentally change our country. I don't need you to fundamentally change, or as they like to refer to, transform. Okay, Angel, there's the magic word. Are you there now? One more time. I'm still not, I don't know why I'm not picking you up. Why am I not getting you, Angel? Oh, boy. Okay, I don't know why, but I'm having an issue with my program. This hasn't happened before, so I'm trying to figure out why is it doing this. Lord have mercy. All right, well, Angel, forgive me. I'm going to try to get it to work. Give me a second here. If I can get back, I just don't understand what happened. I test all the stuff before I come on. It's working, and of course now I get on, and it's giving me a hard time. So let's another song. Where we go? All right, we're going to play the Alien song. Be right back.
I made love to an alien near Roswell last night. We strolled along together in the pale moonlight. I had a funny feeling that something wasn't right. I made love to an alien last night. When she gripped my hand, I was feeling mighty fine. But her fingers with mine would not.
Welcome. Right with you.
They were big as donuts and blacker than the sky. She said, I'm feeling lonely. I said, Lord, so am I. We'll stroll along together, but we won't question why. That ground beneath your feet is flashing red and white, and sprouting little mushrooms left and right. Then she threw me down and put me on my back. To tell the truth, I thought I'd seen my last. But she settled down and snuggled me.
All right, Miss Angel, let's try it one more time. Are you there?
I am here.
Hot dog. Here we go. I don't know what happened. You know, I test everything before I come on. I give it a quick test just to make sure things are working properly. And anyway, glad that it's working now. Welcome, my dear.
Thank you. I am happy that I'm coming in loud and clear.
Oh, you absolutely are. I want to congratulate you on your first show. I think you did a phenomenal job. I know you're working on making it even better.
Yes, it was bumpy. I'm here to tell you it will be a lot better now that I have the system set up with all the equipment that I needed. And at first, you know, it's just the way technology is. You have to get used to something. But I am more interested in power packing information, just like you are. So it'll go smooth. And if it doesn't, it'll go rough, but it'll still go.
I think you'll work it out. I think you do a jam-up job because I admire you for all the information, the wide variety of information that you have, and your willingness to share that knowledge with other people. That, you know, that's a great gift, and I greatly appreciate that.
Well, I appreciate you as well, and Michael, and what I learned. I listened to that show last night, which was awesome, with Shoot for the Moon.
Mm-hmm.
But, I mean, it was just an awesome interview with James Donovan.
I had no idea. 400,000. I was shocked when he said 400,000 people, almost 500,000 people involved in the project.
But how much information he gave was so interesting for me, because I'm interested in that type of thing. And I thought it was a great interview and a great guest. So people that are out there can get information that they're interested in.
Yep.
And that's what we're here for.
He certainly knew the subject matter, right?
Oh, my gosh.
I mean,
an encyclopedia.
Like, he knew it forward and backward, yes. Those of you who missed the show, it was Late Night in the Midlands last night. James Donovan, and I think his website is jamesdonovan.net, D-O-N-O-V-A-N, donovan.net, jamesdonovan.net. And it was, what was the name of the book? It was the
Shoot for the Moon.
Shoot for the Moon, that's what it was. And pretty interesting stuff, pretty interesting. A lot of details that I never really considered. Of course, never took the time to think about this stuff till I get older. But a lot of details. And you know, now you said something about the Omega theory, and I didn't catch that. What did that mean? Do you remember?
Well, that was when you all had specifically been talking about technology. And look, I guess the best way for me to put it is there is a theory called the Omega Point. And the Omega Point theory goes to a physicist, Frank Tipler is one of them, and I happen to know Dr. Tipler. And it's just that when we converge with with artificial intelligence, and we're like a part of the motherboard to where there's nothing but pixels of us. It has a religious connotation, but I mean, we're getting to the point now, and that's what I had asked you to ask him, and then he and you continued on that subject of how technology had changed. And when he said that Buzz Aldrin actually had his slide rule,
that they were doing it,
to do calculations, right. How much different is it today? I don't even know if new engineers know how to use a slide rule.
I think you're sadly.
I'm serious.
Yeah. Sadly, I think you're right. Yeah, because they're all so what's the word I'm looking for? They're ingrained into the digital world. You know, I read an article, and I don't know how true it is, but they're talking about stopping the teaching of how to read an analog clock because it's too difficult for the kids. Did you hear about that?
Yes. Not only are they doing that, and even for myself, I'm just going to tell you that the system itself is now correcting all of your grammar. So you can almost be lazy, if you know what I'm talking about. Like you can type something, it will correct everything for you. So somebody that's simple-minded doesn't even have to have grammar. They can put together a resume for them to look like that they studied literature.
Yeah. Yeah, it's kind of
so
like...
it's going from fake news to fake resumes to look intellectual on paper. And then when you get them in person, they don't know how to spell.
Well, you know, we were subject to the trans thing for how long? How many? 8 years specifically that I could think of, where everything is supposed to be one thing, but it's really something else. Well, if you're a guy but you identify as a girl, well, we're going to let you go in the girls' bathroom. You know, that's just
Have you
crazy.
ever heard anything so crazy in all of your life?
So that's along the line of what you're saying, where people, you know, this may be a poor example, but it's almost like having everything on speed dial. You forget the numbers. You knew the numbers at one time because you had to put them in, but after a degree of time, you just rely on, let's just put them on speed dial, or just bring them up by their name and dial with their name. It's almost along that line when you have the ability to not understand grammar and how it's properly used, but yet or spelling, and you go to type a letter and everything comes up automatically for you. After a while, you don't even think about it anymore. Oh, well, it'll fix it. I'll just keep going. Instead of putting it in right correctly the first time.
Exactly. And as you were saying about banking systems, a lot of people, I'm not saying all, I preface that by saying many, if not most, people really cannot add or subtract almost all banking and all registers in shopping areas tell you what change to give. Because God forbid somebody hands you $10. I've seen it where somebody cannot figure out the change if the computer goes down, the register.
Yeah. That's been going on for a while.
When I was growing up, you had to count it out.
That's right. That's the same for me. Yeah, I've been seeing that for quite a while. I think where I really noticed it first was at McDonald's. Everything was push button. You didn't, if it was, what do they have at McDonald's? They have a Big Mac. So if it was a Big Mac, there's a picture of a Big Mac. They didn't write it. They just put a picture of it there. So you hit the picture of the Big Mac, you know. They had literally like little pictures I taped or glued to the keys, because it wasn't digital back then. When I'm talking about, they didn't have the digital stuff that they have now. This is way back when they had. They called it a cash register. It wasn't really. I guess you could call it a cash register, but it had different keys. It had like maybe 20 or 30 different keys. French fries had a picture of French fries.
We're devolving. We're not even evolving. We're devolving to pictographs.
When you have you say we're devolving. That reminds me of what I was talking about earlier. We have a Congress that's threatening to put an attorney general in jail for obeying the law. We are devolving. Absolutely. That's a great analogy. We are devolving.
Well, I think we're going through something. There's a word called, yes, it's a word. It's called a contronym. And it's everything means one thing, but it means the opposite. Like, I don't know, oversight committee. That's all we hear. It's an oversight committee. Well, what does that mean? That they oversee something, or just forget it? It's an oversight. We're not even going to look at it. Do you understand what I'm saying? There's words that you can use that are opposite, and that's what we're watching every day. Like trim a tree would mean decorated, or trim a tree means cut the branches. So everything the left says is completely opposite of the word meaning that we look at, like lawfulness. They don't care.
Yeah,
and I've said this, Riscalla. Yep. They are lawless.
Yep. Well, I think at this point they're in your face lawless because they're in an absolute panic. They realize the end is near. If they can't stop this president, the end for them is near. Every day that passes, it gets a little closer. We are much closer now to seeing big names literally get arrested than we were 2 years ago. Much, much closer. We are so close now. And the primary reason was there seemed to be an insulator for them, and that insulator was this ongoing, quote, investigation, which kept them at a safety factor between them and the justice that was coming for them, because as long as they could continue putting on this facade, this whole charade of, oh, well, he did this and he did that. There are people who even openly claim that he was a traitor to this country. So as long as they could keep that going, then they were in a degree of safety. Well, we're in a safety margin right now. But now that has ended, their safety margin is gone. Their ship is rapidly sinking. And some of them are jumping ship. Some of them are spilling the beans on other. Who was it? I think it was Clapper was saying that knowledge about the FISA warrants went all the way to the top. So now there's no question.
Well, there's never been a question in my mind. I know how that rat tunnel runs. But the fact is that they're going after Barr, who was an attorney general with George Sr., and he was applauded as an attorney general.
Oh, yeah.
They loved him years ago, never had a problem getting his seat. Nobody went against him. The only thing, he would be a saint instead of a sinner if he'd have come out and say, listen, I find something fishy against Trump. But what he did was he looked, and like we've talked about, it is a legal system, not a justice system per se, but he looked at the legal side of it and found nothing. And by the way, do you hear them using the word collusion anymore? You couldn't choke that word out of them. That's out the window.
Yep.
Now it's obstruction.
Here's something else that they don't mention. The responsibility of the investigator is to find evidence, and if there is no evidence, then his report should be quite simple. I can't find any evidence or I can't find enough evidence, either one. But the bottom line is the decision that the investigator makes is I can present this to the prosecutor and say prosecute, or I can present this to the prosecutor and say don't prosecute. And that's basically what he said. I presented it to the prosecutor and I said don't prosecute. Everything else is bananas and doesn't mean spit. The bottom line is that's all he was supposed to do. But instead, he came out with this long report, and many places of the report, I've only seen bits and pieces of it, but he's kind of building himself up. You know, it's like boasting about the great job that he's done and stuff like that. Instead of dealing with the subject matter. The subject matter was there any collusion? They dealt with that, but they went I don't know how to explain it, far wider than that. Instead of being narrow to that subject, they went really wide and unnecessary things and brought things in that didn't need to be brought in I think, to create more questions. Because now there are people claiming, well, that's not the end of it all. That's just the beginning.
What you're saying in plain English is this. They were not actually looking for something specific. They were looking for anything.
Yeah.
So once they couldn't find one topic, they would go to another topic. And when they couldn't find anything there, they would switch to another. They just kept hopscotching to find something, and they still came up with nothing. Believe me, Riscalla, it would have taken, and I mean this sincerely, 1 month if they would have had solid, because all we heard was they had evidence.
Mm-hmm.
Evidence.
Yeah.
When you have evidence, you present it. You don't hide it or hold it. So everybody that said there was evidence is a liar.
Yeah, where is it? So
there is none.
I want to read this off to you. This is something I found, which I thought was quite interesting. This is all related to what we've been talking about. From 2001 to 2005, there was an ongoing investigation into the Clinton Foundation. A grand jury had been impaneled. Governments from around the world had donated to this charity. Yet, from 2001 to 2003, none of those donations to the Clinton Foundation were declared. Now, you would think that an honest investigator would be able to figure that out. Well, look who took over the investigation in 2005. James Comey. Is that a coincidence? Guess who was transferred to the Internal Revenue Service to run the tax exemption branch of the IRS? Lois, be on the lookout, Lerner. Is that another coincidence? But all this is just a series of strange coincidences. Guess who ran the tax division inside the Department of Justice from 2001-2005? None other than the Assistant Attorney General of the United States today, Rod Rosenstein. These criminals, they just recycle in different areas. Guess who was the director of the Federal Bureau of Investigation during this time frame? It's got to be another coincidence, Robert Mueller. What do all four casting characters have in common? They were all briefed and or were the frontline investigators into the Clinton Foundation investigation. Got to be another coincidence. So let's go to 2009. James Comey, he leaves the Justice Department and he goes and cashes in at Lockheed Martin. Hillary Clinton is running the State Department and on official business on her own personal email server. Uranium One issue comes out to the attention of Hillary. Like all good public servants do, supposedly looking out for the best interest of America, she decides to support the decision and approve the sale of 20% of U.S. uranium to none other than the Russians. So now you would think that this is a fairly straight-up deal, except it wasn't. America got absolutely nothing out of the deal. However, prior to the sale's approval, none other than Bill Clinton. What is he doing? He goes to Moscow. And what happens? He gets paid $500,000 for a 1-hour speech. Then, after that, he gets to meet with Vladimir Putin. At his home, no better. No big deal, I know. All right, so, not so fast, because the FBI had a mole inside the money laundering and the bribery scheme. Robert Mueller was the FBI director during this time frame. Yep, he delivered the uranium samples to Moscow in 2009. Who was handling the case within the Justice Department of the U.S. Attorney's Office in Maryland? Rod Rosenstein. And what happened to the informant? The Department of Justice placed a gag order on the informant and threatened to lock him up if he spoke about it. So how does 20% of the most strategic asset that the United States has end up in Russian hands when the FBI has an informant, a mole, providing inside information to the FBI on the criminal enterprise? Well, very soon after the sale was approved, $145 million in, quote, donations made their way to, guess what? The Clinton Foundation. And these were from entities directly connected to the Uranium One deal. So guess who was still at the Internal Revenue Service working the charitable division? Lois Lerner. Okay, so these are just a bunch of coincidences, right? There's nothing here to see. Let's move forward to 2015. Due to a series of tragic events in Benghazi, after 9 investigations, quote, the House, Senate, and the State Department, Trey Gowdy, who was running the 10th investigation as chairman of the Select Committee on the Benghazi, discovers that Hillary ran a State Department on an unclassified, unauthorized, outlawed personal email server. He also discovered that none of the emails had been turned over when she departed her public service as Secretary of State, which is required by law. He also discovered that there was top secret information contained in her personally archived email. All right, so let's just spare the department's cover-up and go directly to, let's see, we go to 2013. None other than James Comey, who secured 17 no-bid contracts for his employer, Lockheed Martin, with the State Department. So this is how Hillary Clinton and Comey and Mueller and all these, they're all buddies. They're all criminals, literally like a mafia, working and one hand washing the other. So James Comey, working for Martin at the time, he's working for the government, and he secures 17 no-bid contracts for his employer. So in other words, Lockheed Martin got 17 contracts that nobody else got to bid on. Why? Directly because of this man right here. Now, at the time now, he's an FBI director, and he's in charge of the Clinton email investigation. Of course, his FBI investigates the Lois Lerner matter at the Internal Revenue Service, and he exonerates her. Nope, he can't find any crimes here. Then in 2016, James Comey drafts an exoneration letter of Hillary Clinton. Meanwhile, the DOJ is handing out immunity deals like candy. They didn't even convene a grand jury in order to be able to do this. Like a lightning bolt of statistical impossibility, like a miracle from God himself, like a true gangster Comey is, James steps out into the cameras of an awaiting press conference on July 5th of 2016 and exonerates Hillary from any wrongdoing. Anybody see a pattern here? And it goes on and on. Rosenstein becomes the assistant attorney general. Comey gets fired based upon a letter that Rosenstein wrote. Comey leaks government information to the press. Mueller is assigned to the Russian investigation sham by Rosenstein to provide cover for decades of malfeasance within the FBI and the DOJ, and the story just continues. And we go on to the FISA abuse and more and more and more. All of this, I really believe, is coming to the surface now. I believe that we're doing a 180, that the investigators that created all of this harassment unjustifiably are now going to be investigated, and it's not going to be pretty for them. This is why I believe they're acting so irrational, so crazy. They're just crazy.
Well, everything you just read, Nancy Drew and the Hardy Boys could have solved this dragnet over that whole Democratic money laundering scheme in Chapter 1 of a paperback book. It just all fits together. You would have to, you just have to throw a net over the entire crew. You see, we know this, and President Trump knows this, but it's taking time to sift through all of this.
Yeah.
The pieces are already there. The box had the full pieces of the puzzle, and the pieces are getting laid out, but this judicial system is slow to move.
And I think part of that
really is.
I think part of that are the judges that Obama put in place, because they expected this to continue. He had a lot of socialist type mentality judges in place. Look at these guys that keep blocking when the president early on, when he was signing executive orders, telling people we don't want any more Muslims coming in, particularly from specific countries that we knew were terroristic kind of places where terrorists were living and staying. And then these judges block him from that. And then he says, well, we can't have these cities, these sanctuary cities anymore, and judges block them again. So a lot of that is the judges themselves as well. So we got to, yeah, you're right. There's a lot of cleaning up that has to be done. The last I looked, which was about a month ago, there was over 80,000 sealed documents still waiting to be opened. We're going to be at this for a while.
I'm saying what I've always said. The tipping point is this presidential election.
Yes,
that's
agree.
going to be
I
the
agree.
tipping point, because they have really all the big tech behind them. And I'm not going to be conspiratorial. It doesn't take a nuclear physicist to figure out that there's hacking. And forget Russians, a handful of Russians. They want all these illegal immigrants to vote. But I'm saying within the computer system, I don't trust them. I think they thought that they had it in the bag, which is why we said not one picture of President Trump pre-ordered as winning. All were Hillary, Madam President.
Yep, I remember that.
All of the magazine covers, which were used for Tinderwood afterwards. So they probably thought they had a better grip on this sneaking her in, but they lost. And I think this time they're really sharpening their pencils. Really.
Yeah.
I don't trust them at all.
That's why, like you, I agree. This next election is literally going to make or break our country. We have to use whatever influence that we have on our friends and our neighbors, our family, to let them know just how important this is. And that, it's not a matter of telling them who to vote for anymore. All they have to do is look and see what's going on. I think they could come to their own decision as to who they would want. I can't imagine somebody wanting a representative that basically wants to raise your taxes, keep the borders open after we hear about all these people that are being killed by these people that don't belong here, and they're deported and they come back, and they're deported and they come back. That's kind of disgusting. So they want to keep the borders open, they want to raise your taxes, and all they want to do is impeach the president. They don't want to do anything. They don't want to move the country forward. They don't want to help you. They don't want to help me. That's all they want to do. That's their whole premises for being reelected again. I can't imagine that somebody who wants what's best for our country, best for ourselves as well, would want to vote for somebody like that.
You might not be able to imagine it, but we see the Hollywood machine. That's all they're geared up for. Every single thing that there's an award show, the big money is backing whoever wants to destroy America. They're all Satanists.
Yeah. Yep.
The Hollywood machine is behind anything that is against normalization in the unit of family in the United States of America. They love Americans, but Central and South Americans, not the U.S. of A.
Yeah, and many of the corporations that have a lot of financial power are stepping in and doing their part. Now, I read an article about Levi Strauss. They're highly anti-gun. They want to pay their employees to go and promote more gun bans, more gun, whatever you want to call them, more gun legislation. And I don't believe that's the place of these people. You have a successful company, and that successful company was built on the backs of hard-working Americans. And I believe that the majority of hard-working Americans do not want you involved in decisions that would affect them personally. The ability to defend ourselves is a personal decision.
Look, Riscalla, darling, people that are wearing Levi jeans are going to want to hold on to their gun rights. If they want it, somebody wants a petition, it should be like somebody who wears Gloria Vanderbilt jeans. They're going after the wrong crowd.
Yeah, well,
because
this is what they're
When
doing.
you think of Levi's, you're thinking of something like Lee and Levi Wrangler. Those are all cowboy type of mind images. That cowboy represents carrying legally a gun.
Mm-hmm.
So they might as well just
But that's what they're doing.
up and ride out.
Yeah, this is what they're doing. People need to be aware that this is, I keep telling them we have people that we are the power. The power comes from us, and it comes in many forms. One of those forms is our ability to purchase their products. If these companies, these corporations, reach out and get involved in your personal life, and that's exactly what they're doing by promoting this. They're getting involved in our personal lives. Then we also have the right to say, no, we're not going to buy your product anymore. And if enough of us would do that, these corporations would get back into where they're in their proper place, maybe is the best way to put it. They'd step back into their proper place, and that is to make a high-quality product that people that enjoyed. And when it comes to politics, it's not your place to speak publicly. You do what you want privately, but not publicly, and endorse something that harms other people. Our ability to defend ourselves taken away from us would harm us, because the only ones that would have the guns are the criminals, because who's going to turn in their guns? The law-abiding citizens. So that's just not going to happen, and they should know that, but they continue to promote that, and that's, to me, it's not acceptable.
Riscalla, when you have somebody in Hollywood like Quentin Tarantino that makes the most vicious, vile, bloodthirsty movies, and he's anti-gun, you can't even turn on one of his films that somebody's not getting their head blown off within the first 30 seconds. These are hypocrites.
The guy who did the what is that? Oh, I can see it in my mind. I can't read it. The Bourne Project. You know who I'm talking about? I can't think of his name.
Jason Bourne. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. That I can't think of the
Matt Damon.
That's his name. Matt Damon. He speaks out publicly against guns, yet he's made a fortune using them. You don't see the hypocrisy.
Somebody needs to have gum control on those people to shut their mouth and not open them, because if you're going to be anti-gun, then live your life as an anti-gun type of person. He has been in more movies, shoot 'em up, shoot 'em down, shoot 'em up,
and violence
all around.
Very violent. His movies depict extreme violence, but yet he's
most of the ones that are opening their yap have made money from violent. Not all, but many of them have made money off of violent movies. But I'm just telling you, the Hollywood machine. When you say who would vote for somebody that wants to destroy America? They would, because look what they're walking around in Los Angeles.
Oh.
People that are, it's just disgusting.
I can't even be, I can't wrap my mind around that, honestly. I don't know. Oh my gosh. They put maps up now. They're called poop maps. They use the other word, but, and I saw a map and there was one area it was almost completely browned out. Just the whole thing is like, oh my gosh. To me, it's like, I don't know. I can't even. I don't know. I can't make sense of it. I can't. You can't put up.
I don't understand. I mean, I really don't understand how anybody believes the people that think that they can tell us how to look at something and think it's normal. I mean, why do they think that they're able to lecture us about how to live when they're living like animals and around people that live worse than animals?
What was that word you used earlier? We're devolving. Devolving. There's your evidence right there. Oh my gosh. So I don't understand why they permitted this to begin with. They would rather have, I guess it's quite costly from the article I read, they have to pressure clean like every day, sometimes several times a day, depending upon where it is. So it's got to be quite costly. Why can't you put porta potties up if it's that bad? Why do you want people to do, and the sight of some, could you imagine? You're walking down the street and somebody just bends over and, I don't know. Really, that is a serious concern to me, how people allowed that. How in the world, and not only do you allow it, but then you help promote it by doing it. Oh, God.
But the politicians want to be reelected in those areas that are allowing it, and they will get the votes. That's what we have to just face facts. People like Pelosi that has to carry 4 sets of shoes to get through.
What a joke she is. And
it's not funny, but it's humorous because
she's a joke.
They don't care.
They don't. Openly in your face don't care. This is the part that just infuriates me. They're in your face don't care. How can they justify not putting up a wall on our southern border when it has been documented? It's no longer a theory. It's documented that what is happening at the southern border is an all-out attack, an invasion on our country. How can you not defend the very country that you... it's the Twilight Zone. We're living...
Do you remember...
We're living in the Twilight Zone.
We're supposedly... It doesn't stop me from saying it because I don't care about being politically correct. I care about being correct. And the name used to be where everybody would call a baby an anchor baby.
Mm-hmm. That's right.
Well, what? And that was even in the political arena. Well, what is an anchor? An anchor is something that sinks something. It's not like they called them buoy babies, like it's going to make our economy rise up. They were telling us what these kids were.
Wow.
But all the subtleties. Now, I think somebody figured it out. Don't call them anchor babies anymore. And you and I have talked about this, Riscalla. What if you're that broke and that poor? Why are you having babies and bringing them over here?
True.
And
True.
I've heard, and I know that you've talked about it. Those kids don't even belong to the people that are renting them out or buying them or sex trafficking them,
Horrific.
and God only knows what, and maybe murdering them afterwards.
Horrific. It is horrific. What goes on with those children. It is unspeakable, some of the things that goes on with those children. And it's promoted by these people within our government that say no wall, no wall. And yet they're the first ones to complain about the children being separated from the families, but they're also the first ones to say it's okay if the baby comes out of the birth canal, you can kill it if you want. Twilight Zone.
I know. They're double split-tongue serpents.
Oh.
They're serpent seed. And I'm going to talk about that on my show, that you cannot any longer deny that there are 2 types of people on this planet, and some people have no souls, because how could somebody in one breath, and they don't mean it, don't separate children and families at the border. Of course, they don't want them in their city. That's the first thing they'll tell you.
Right.
Is we don't separate, and the second thing is don't bring them to my house. But then change shirts and then say a woman has a right to kill her baby. So they're just plain out serpents. They want to do anything that is against goodness.
It seems that way. It
Period.
really does seem that way. That anything that is positive, no, we can't have that. Anything that will deteriorate and further deteriorate our society, they support. It's
they have no moral compass. Well, they have a moral compass, but it's pointing to hell.
True. All right, it's that magic time, folks. Don't go away.
You're listening to the Red Pill Reality Show on the LNM Network. Don't go away. We'll be right back.
Being a dad is an adventure full of special moments.
A cruise!
Surprise! Unexpected moments.
I got this.
And even awkward moments.
Okay, Dad, thank you.
But every moment you spend with your kids, even the smallest moments, can make the biggest impact on your child's life. So take a moment to be a dad today.
There's a lot of fear in coming back to school. I wasn't sure if I could do it. I'm a 40-year-old man that walked in there to get his high school diploma. It was very hard for me, but the teachers, the counselors, they help you. One of the teachers was Miss Araceli. Miss Araceli, she gave me direction. Every single time I had a question, she'll put down whatever she's doing and she'll come over and she'll sit there with you until you get it. Thank you, Miss Araceli. I know you make a difference in people's lives because of the person and teacher you are. I wanted to be here because I wanted to thank you for helping me get a beautiful gift. 50% of getting your high school diploma is walking through those doors. The other 50% is doing the work. Getting your high school diploma, it is a life-changing experience. It really is.
Find free adult education classes near you at finishyourdiploma.org.
Have you ever heard of Audible? Audible is a website with hundreds of thousands of audiobooks. They're all high quality, easy to listen to, and, best of all, if you take advantage of a special deal that we've worked out for you, you can get one for free. That's right, a free audiobook of your choice in any genre, simply by going to audibletrial.com/openeyes and signing up for the free trial. It's simple to do, and it would support the shows that we bring to you, and hey, you get a free book out of the whole thing. So why not take advantage of it today? Go to audibletrial.com/openeyes and sign up for the trial.
Ask 10 different scientists about the environment, population control, genetics, and you'll get 10 different answers. But there's one thing every scientist on the planet agrees on. Whether it happens in 100 years, or 1,000 years, or 1,000,000 years, eventually our sun will grow cold and go out. When that happens, it won't just take us. It'll take Marilyn Monroe, and Lao Tzu, and Einstein, and Morobuto, and Buddy Holly, and Aristophanes. All of this was for nothing. Unless we go to the stars.
Do you need toner for your Epson, Hewlett-Packard, Canon, Brother, Apple, or Sharp printers? Look no further than Laser Technologies. In business for over 20 years, they offer the lowest prices on toner on the web. They can also repair your laser printers and toners fast and easy. Call their expert staff today at 561-792-9600 or email us at service@laser-technologies.com for all your toner needs. All toner is shipped nationwide. Why wait? Get the lowest prices on toner. Call or email us today.
While other stations just talk a good game, we win it.
Hey, sounds like somebody's having a lot of fun.
Take the red pill, take the blue pill, take the red pill, take the blue pill. Take the red pill, take the blue pill, take the red pill, take the blue pill. Take the red pill, take the blue pill, take the red pill, take the blue pill. You take the red pill, and I show you how deep the rabbit hole goes. This is your last chance. After this, there is no turning back. You take the blue pill, the story ends. You wake up in your bed and believe whatever you want to believe. You take the red pill, 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 take the red. You stay in Wonderland. You stay in Wonderland, and I show you how deep the rabbit hole goes. Goes, 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 goes,
Now, from sunny South Florida, it's the Red Pill Reality Show with your host, Riscalla. Every Saturday night from 9 p.m. to midnight on the L&M Network. And now, your host, Riscalla.
All right, we are back. It is the Red Pill Reality Show. I am your host, Riscalla. Tonight I have Angel Strong with me. And I would, all of you out there, I would take advantage of the opportunity to have a question or a comment for Angel. Give us a call, 561-440-5174. She's going to be doing her own show here very shortly, and you'll have another opportunity to address her. Anyway, tonight it's 561-440-5174. Angel Strong and Riscalla on the Red Pill Reality Show. We're discussing primarily what is happening currently in our political situation and how that is affecting us as individuals. So you want to be part of the conversation, you know how to do it. 561-440-5174. Angel, welcome back. Thank you for taking the time to share with me. I appreciate it. I appreciate you and taking the time to share knowledge.
Well, thank you, Riscalla. It's fun because we're on the same page and we love this country. It's that simple.
Yep. And a lot of people, I don't know. I don't know if you've run across this, but I've run into this quite a bit. People will say, I have these constitutional rights. They don't understand that the Constitution was put in place as a document, as a guideline for the government, that they are to protect those. They are not to interfere with them. They are to protect them. And as you can see very plainly, they haven't done that. They've done the opposite. Some of these people that are running for president have openly stated that we're going to take your guns, and if you don't give up your guns, then we're going to send men with guns to come get your guns, and it's not going to be pretty. So again, this next election is going to be vital to those of us who understand what America was intended to be, know that there's a Constitution in place, know that these people have taken an oath to defend that Constitution, to uphold that Constitution, and they haven't. Then it's going to be our place to have them removed.
I don't even see anybody legitimate in their running base for president on the left. I really don't.
Yeah.
I mean, I've looked at them. I know the names, and it's really pretty pathetic. It's almost like they're digging from the bottom of the barrel.
Yeah.
Of a dumpster.
They're lowering the bar again, which is what they did with.
They are.
This was what they did with the last president.
Who is in the running? Biden?
Biden. Now
he looks like he has an impairment now, and I'm not even saying that in a funny way, more in a worrisome way.
And here's a man who wants to be president of the United States who would not even defend himself. The last election, the primary was clearly, admittedly stolen by the DNC. They admitted that well, we don't go by what the voters want. We make the final decision. I mean, that's a dog. That's not my opinion. They said that. And so he wouldn't even stick up. Or what happened? Well, he put his tail between his legs, bowed his head down, accepted whatever money they gave him, and he stuck up for Hillary. Now he wants to be the president? Don't think so.
I mean, you saw the crowds that he's getting.
Oh, it's a joke.
It really is. They could. Well, you know what I think. It's just, and Trump is just. People are pouring to his places, just pouring to listen to him speak.
Yeah, overflow of tens of thousands of people on the inside, and then even more on the outside. Sometimes there's a bigger crowd on the outside waiting to see the president than there is on the inside. And then we have people like, what's his name, Beto O'Rourke, whatever his name is. A couple of, maybe 100 if he was if he was lucky, maybe 100. Or you look at
and 95 of them were paid.
Yeah, more than likely, yeah. I wouldn't doubt it in the least bit.
And had an Uber ride to pick them up. It's the truth. As humorous as it might sound, it's pathetic.
It is sad.
And this other dude, that butt gig or whatever, are they out of their mind? What's he going to have? A guy that's the first lady and the president? No. Negative.
The President Trump referred to him as Alfred
E.
Yeah, Alfred E. Newman. He kind of looks like him a little bit. He does kind of look like him a little bit. What a joke. What a serious joke. So, again, there's going to be people out there, like you said, there's people in the Hollywood group that follow the Hollywood group, the groupies, if you will. We, in my opinion, we have a responsibility to try to get those people to understand what's happening. I really don't think that well, I may be wrong, because you do mention there's two types of seeds. One is soul and one is soulless, right? So if you don't have a soul,
Correct.
You don't give a damn. So, you can't reach everybody. But I would still give it an attempt.
There is Satanists. I'm telling you, there's seeds. Whether people want to believe the biblical text or not, at least believe what you see happening in the streets every day. There's murder, rape, mothers killing their own children, people eating people. I mean, we have to face reality here. What was in the biblical text is some harsh stories. They're not fairy tales because they play out every day in streets around the world, not just in the U.S. of A. They're everywhere. So what do we have in Hollywood? We have elitists that practice some type of satanic and some witchcraft that are into something against God the Father, and they have had gains from it too. They will on this plane, but they won't in the next one. But they have, and believe me, there are people that the big money backs anything, which is Hollywood, anything that goes against morally good behavior. That's why they want somebody in the left to rule, because everything they depict in these movies that is disgusting is exactly how they want our lives and society to be. Those movies are just a shadow of what they want here.
Well,
and they're acting on the stage of life, and that's what they want to bring here.
I have said many times, I don't have any definitive proof of this. It's just something that has occurred to me from the examples of time and time again. They have to tell us what they're going to do before they do it, for whatever reason, whatever crazy law they have. And because that we remain silent, whether we recognize that, sometimes it's encrypted, sometimes it's in your face. I find more times than not it's encrypted. You really don't know what they're saying. Again, it's a great deception. But our silence is their permission to continue doing what they're doing. And this is a bridge that we need to tear down for them. And part of that is someone like you, Angel, who is able to take the words and decipher. I think about RU86. I never thought about breaking it down like you did and hearing it the way that you did. It never occurred to me. But yet people day in and day out will say that, and it will never, ever think about really what are you saying when you say that. The breakdown that you gave me made so much sense. And it's a deception. It's all about deceiving people, right?
Right, and it's the RU486, and yes, they tell us, and like I did on my show, not to bore you with it again, but that Kentucky Derby for me was such an eye-opener, and if you don't mind, I just want to tell your audience
that go ahead.
The Kentucky Derby was the 145th Kentucky Derby, so I took the 145 while I'm watching it. You know what I'm saying? It was the 145th time the Kentucky Derby has been run. So I looked at 145, and I know, of course, President Trump is 45. And I took the word one, and instead of the number, I just used WON. So I've got 145, because he beat all odds. Bookmaker odds off the table. President Trump won the election. And then when I see maximum security, first time in history a horse has been disqualified as the winner, get disqualified. And again, if anybody tells me that President Trump doesn't talk more about security than any other topic, I will debate them, because that's mostly what he talks about. So when I saw maximum security get the oust, and who won was Country House. And so I put that together. I thought, well, wait a minute. From the time, the very moment that he was sworn into office, and every moment before and after, he's always said, this is not for me. This is for our country. This is for you.
Yeah.
This is for the country.
Yep.
So I thought Country House, that's another statement of President Trump. And then I looked at the number of the horse, which was 20. And I thought, oh, my God, in 2020, here's the winner for our country. And then Code of Honor. And then, of course, Tacitus, which most people do not know. They have no clue that Tacitus was one of the first and really the only Roman historian that talked about Christ being crucified. Everybody else said, oh, it's a myth, it's a myth, it's a myth. But Tacitus, what that horse was named after that came in third, which wouldn't have come in at all if maximum security had not got booted. If people look it up to find out, here is a Roman senator back, in the way back when, that talked about Jesus Christ. And then I tied it into, of course, Trump's family name being Christ. So to me, if I was reading all these signs, I was seeing something about 2020, because for horse number 20 to win, country house, maximum security out the window, and especially to be at 145, to me that said something.
And I think many people, that just went right over their head. I never occurred to me. It didn't. You kind of explained to me before how what part this played, like when we had previous presidents, how the Derby kind of pointed things out, right?
Well, yes. When Trump was in office, one of the times, because we don't always have a triple crown, because like we won't have one this year because Country House is not going to run again, Maximum's out, Tacitus is out, and so is Code of Honor. They're all four. First time ever that all four are out, so we can't have a triple crown with Country House out. But with Trump in, Justify, if any word could ever explain what I feel for Trump being elected, it's Justify. He's going to justify all the wrongdoing of what the left has done to this country. But when Obama was in, and I tell people, trust but verify, look it up, American Pharaoh won. And everybody that is into conspiratorial things about Obama, we kind of lean towards something that has to do with something, with a Pharaoh.
There was a lot of...
I know you're Egyptian. It's Egyptian, and you're Egyptian, and it's all something.
There was a lot of...
Pharaoh was spelled.
Well, there was a lot of comparison of his face and what they believe is Tutankhamun's face.
Yes. Yes. But they spelled Pharaoh with the O and the A inverted.
Mm-hmm.
The O-A instead of A-O. And that was another sign for me. So there was something very peculiar. Again, it's not that they spell it out for us. You know, even the Messiah was told, I'm only going to speak in parables. People are going to have to figure it out themselves. Well, the same with the other side. They tell us, but you have to figure out what they're telling us. And it's so plain when you see it. Once you see it, you can't unsee it.
Wow. This is true. I'm just thinking of the I can't think of the word, the relevance that it has, but they're so unrelated, but yet they have relevance when you look at them. The Derby and the president, you know what? How much more completely unrelated could you be? A subject, a president of the United States and a horse.
Well, I'll just tell you this. In the biblical text, horses are very important. Even in the book of Revelation, they're the most important thing.
Well, they do mention horses quite a bit in there, yeah.
Yes, and when we look at things from the biblical perspective, we have to look at them with today's technology. But there are some things that are allegorical, some are symbolic, and some are actually natural, and they all pinpoint different things. So it's the Rubik's Cube that has to line up the sides. I'm not saying that everything is completely accurate, but I'm saying they throw down the dice and then we read the dice to see what it landed on. And this, to me, this Kentucky Derby was something. It was something interesting.
It is. It's like you mentioned about the security and then the 20. See, that's what
Country House was number 20.
Wow.
And that was the winner. That was deemed the winner against all odds. What were the odds on that one? 65-1.
Wow. See,
65-1, about the same odds of President Trump getting elected back then.
Yeah.
And to me, there's so much. Riscalla, okay, out of the sky blue, you have Jim Donovan on about Shoot for the Moon last night, right?
Yep.
The first thing I see on Drudge Report this morning, the very first thing, was Bezos wants moon water. Did I don't know if you've gone to look, but the big news today is somebody headed for the moon, and it's Bezos.
Oh my gosh. So
I mean, please look. That is making its way all across the globe right now. That's his next destination. Did we not just talk about that last night? Like, who's going to the moon? Who wants to go to the moon? First thing on Drudge.
Wow.
Biggest headline.
Wow.
That Bezos wants moon water, and he's going.
Wow. It's, you can't help but wonder. There can be, how coincidental could that, how could coincidence play a part? How much of a coincidence could that possibly be? What are the odds that we're speaking about something like that, the very, very subject of that, the night before, and then the next morning, the very subject comes back up again? By people I don't think any of them were listening to us.
Well, I'm just saying, when I was messaging you, because I didn't know Michael was not going to do the show, because I had seen the ad, and I tried to catch Michael's show, and I saw the picture, and I thought, well, this will be interesting, and then you started speaking, and I started messaging you on the side.
Yep.
I was watching a movie that I haven't seen in I don't know how long, called The Man in the Moon with Reese Witherspoon. It's just, somebody can check and verify if any listeners are out there that saw it on last night, too. The first time I have seen it, I mean, it was made in like 1991. Here it comes popping up. There you are with him, and the next thing I wake up to is going after moon water. Now, if you call that anything other than weird coincidence,
that is
luck
bizarre. Yeah, that is bizarre.
But
all right.
Please go to the Drudge. It's still there.
That's amazing. That, I've got the phone lines open if you guys want to call in for a comment or question. It's 561-440-5174. Phone lines are open. Got a couple of spots open, so if you want to call in, there's no waiting. We'll get you right on if you have a comment or a question for either one of us. Okay, I was going to ask you.
Do you have access, Riscalla, to go to the Drudge Report? I'm just curious if it's still there.
I'll check right now. I was going to ask you about something, and I lost. Oh, the I don't know. Let me see if this will play. I'm going to try to play this, and tell me. I hope you can hear this. No, I'm not even getting anywhere with that one now. Oh, I know why. Let's see if this will. We'll have to give me a second. This is about the point of view from some of these Democrats.
When a woman gets pregnant, that is not a human being.
Can you believe that? Can you believe that? Okay, wait a minute. Here it gets better.
Some kids are unwanted, so you kill them now and kill them later.
Some kids are unwanted, so you kill them now, you kill them later. This is the mentality of people within our government. And what do you think the younger generation is thinking when they hear things? There's kids 12, 13, 14. This is on C-SPAN. This is open to anybody. This isn't like on, I don't know, a pay-per-view kind of thing. This is our... All right, go to the next one.
You know what's really weird,
Go ahead.
Riscalla?
Yep.
I'm going to tell you what's really weird. If you offered tubal ligations or any type of sterilization to a group of people, you would be called the biggest racist on the planet to stop people from having the ability to have a child. Think about it. You understand what I'm telling you.
Yeah,
you
I agree.
Be called a racist.
Yeah. Yep, they'd stand.
But if
they
you
would
say, I want you to get pregnant and kill your child,
that's
in the
okay.
Dems' eyes, you're accepted.
All right, let me see what else we got.
You bring them in the world unwanted, unloved, then you send them to the vacant chair. So you kill them now and kill them later.
So, through the third trimester. The third trimester goes all the way up to 40 weeks.
Okay, but to the end of the third trimester.
Yep, I don't think we have a limit in the bill.
So, where it's obvious that a woman is about to give birth, she has physical signs that she is about to give birth. Would that still be a point at which she could request an abortion if she was so certified? She's dilating.
Mr. Chairman, that would be a decision that the doctor, the physician, and the woman would
I understand
make at
that. I'm asking
point.
if your bill allows that.
My bill would allow that, yes.
So in this particular...
Her bill would allow that. The child to be completely born, and if you don't want the child, you kill him. So maybe, I saw another analogy. What happens if you have, and God forbid, the mom is blind for whatever reason, and she doesn't want to have a child that can see. She wants her child blind too. So you're going to have the authority to go in there and blind that child so that when it comes out, it's blind like the mom. This is insanity. This is truly insanity. What they're considering. The first woman who said when a woman is pregnant, what'd she say?
Pregnant. That is not a human being.
What in the world are you thinking? What is it then if it's not a human being? Is it a clump of cells? Is that what you think that all that is? It is a documented fact that when the sperm and the egg meet, there is a burst of light. And so you're going to refer to that as not a human being. What is it? What? Twilight Zone.
It is a twilight zone, but you cannot talk to the left and have them make sense.
Yeah,
Period.
Obvious. It's obvious.
Believe me when I tell you, if there was a full-term pregnant woman at the border that somebody even put a finger on her nose to say you're not crossing, they would call that child abuse and woman abuse, even though the baby wasn't born. The left would scream that they were mistreating an unborn baby. It would be human on an illegal.
Here's how crazy all this is, right? So they say that abortion is a woman's right to choose what happens with her body. And that's the whole premises behind all this. But then we have laws in place where if a woman decides that she wants to sell her body, she will be put in jail. Also, if a woman decides that what is no longer in her body is now outside of her body, it's no longer part of her, it's outside of her body. Because they're saying if the child goes through the birth canal, you can still kill it after it comes out the birth canal, which is just unspeakable. It's horrible. So how is it that it's a mother's right or it's a woman's right to choose when it's no longer part of her body? How does that fall into play? This is not only the evilness, but the hypocrisy of these people. They don't make sense. You're right. They have to be soulless to think of something.
They are soulless. There is no question. And if they're not, they're mixed. Soul and no soul. It's a mixture. And the propensity is to be a serpent seed. I know how crazy that sounds, but that's biblically backed. And when it's read through the right prism. I want you to look on Drudge and see if it's there.
Okay, let me take a look.
I just think that was the weirdest thing. You know, not that many people are talking about the moon as much as they used to. I still do because I love it.
I've always been intrigued by space, anything to do with space. Let's see what's on the Drudge Report.
I mean, it may be
the Lord of front page of Drudge Report. The Lord of Amazon wants moon water.
Now, do you believe what I'm telling you? When I woke up at my eyes, the first thing I see
Oh,
is
my goodness.
I thought I'm dreaming. I'm watching a movie about the moon. I've got you with Shoot for the Moon, and I've got waking up to see that on Drudge. I couldn't believe my eyes, Riscalla. And I'm sure if Jim looked at Drudge, he was probably going, what? Because you just asked him if anybody else wanted to go back there, any other country or anything. Remember?
Yeah. Yep. We talked about this eventually leading to commercialization of space.
Yeah.
So I don't understand. I didn't know there was water on the moon. I'm kind of going over the article here, but I don't. Is there's water on the moon, or it's just a? Go ahead. He thinks what?
He seems to think that he wants to dredge up something But then again, we have to realize this guy was born in Albuquerque, New Mexico. He may be in an alien drop-off from Area 51 in Roswell.
He does have
I
kind
mean, I
of a
look
peculiar...
at that and remember that Gates, they all started, I guess, Microsoft out in New Mexico. I mean, it's a haven.
Okay, so it says robotic missions to the moon have found evidence in the past decade that water does indeed exist on the moon, but it is in the form of ice. Pence, along with NASA Administrator Jim Bridenstine, have insisted that exploiting that precious resource would make long-term outposts on the moon possible. So apparently there's water up there in the form of ice.
Well, it just goes to show that what happened in the past from our space missions, whatever anybody believes,
Yep.
Nobody has lost total interest in going outside of our planet.
So, I see what he's getting at.
Especially the moon, because it's so, so reachable.
He says, since there's water up there, ultimately we're going to be able to extract hydrogen from the water on the moon, and that would enable us to refuel vehicles on the surface of the moon. So if you know anything about water, it's H2O, 2 molecules of hydrogen, 1 molecule of oxygen, and it can be easily separated through a process called electrolysis. It's not very difficult, very, very straightforward. So maybe that's his idea, to get up there and then they use the water for fuel. Of course, we've had people who have done that here and they went public and died very quickly, but that's a whole other story.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, and we've known that energy could be, or water could be harnessed for energy, but no.
Water is a fuel. It is a much more powerful and far cleaner than what they call fossil fuels, which aren't fossil to begin with, but that's a whole other story. It is an absolute 100% recyclable fuel. What that means is if you take water and from its liquid form and you break it into its gaseous form, it is a very powerful energy source. You can run that through a regular car, a couple of minor adjustments, but it will run a car. And what comes out the exhaust pipe is water. So you start with water, you turn it into a gas, you burn it, and what comes out is water. So it's 100% recyclable. And what comes out, you could, I've seen demonstrations where they'll take a white handkerchief and put it over the tailpipe of the engine and rev that engine up over and over and over again, and then take that and smell that. And you can there's no odor, there's nothing there, there's no soot, there's none of that stuff because it burns cleanly, and it's so powerful that a gallon of water could run your car for hundreds of miles. So imagine that.
Yes, I'm well aware of the people that, I mean, and this goes way, way back into the wartime where people
that's right.
had already patented or were trying to and ended up in a body bag.
Yeah,
that's how you get recycled if you start talking about water for energy. We know, obviously, that it can be harnessed, but
he was a
takes
patriot.
away the money factor, and the powers that be are not going to let that happen. Not in a happy way. Just put it that way.
He was a patriot. He went to the government. He said, I found a way where none of your ships on the ocean will ever have to be worrying about fuel again, ever. And thought he was doing the government a favor because at the time that all of this happened, there was this thing called the oil embargo that was happening from Saudi Arabia. And what that was doing is causing people to literally stand in line for gasoline. And it got so bad, the rationing got so bad, that they limited people to 5 gallons of gasoline at the time. And he decided that it wasn't right for a country that was smaller than the size of Texas to bring America down to its knees like this and put us through the suffering. So he came up with a way of using water for for energy. He had a small dune buggy that ran on water. He went to the government and told them about it, and that was his biggest mistake because he didn't realize how much money is in it for the government in this idea of having these fuels. So anyway, I think we had a problem with. Are you there, Angel?
Yes, I'm right
Okay,
here
yeah.
listening.
It sounded like you got knocked off. So
No, I'm listening to every word. I am quiet once in a while.
that man's name is Stanley Meyer. You can look him up, Stanley Meyer. You can go on YouTube and you can see his car that runs on water, his little dune buggy he had that ran on water. He had come up with a product that was going to be, I don't remember the name that he called it, but it was going to be replacing the injector plugs, which is just about every motor that's out there now that's a gasoline run engine has an injector plug. They're all fuel injected. They were going to replace the injector plugs with this product, and then instead of putting gas in your car, you put water in the tank, and you'd probably have to fill your tank up maybe once every 5 or 6 months. And the ability to keep the engine running clean and all of that. And there were so many advantages to it. He was at dinner one night and he was eating something and he blurted out, "I've been poisoned," and died right there on the spot. And he knew they had killed him. Unfortunately, it was too late for him. But this is the evil and the sickness that we deal with. They have to have their greed. I
was just going to use that word. It's all about greed because I know who you're talking about. I know about the electrolyzing the water, and it can be done, but it will cost people their lives. So
yeah, if you go out and promote this, then and there's other people that see his face and I can't think of his name, developed an electrical motor that could run itself and generate electricity at the same time. Went to the patent office, and the patent apparently they have to put it through a test in order for it to. They have to make sure that it's real and it works, and they purposely went against his instructions on how to run it and shorted the motor out and said, "This isn't real. This is a joke," and they wouldn't let him have it. But that was a motor, an electrical motor that created enough energy to run itself and generate electricity on top of that. You could stick that in a car and you'd never have to recharge your car. They did away with him as well. There's a lot of stuff out there that is suppressed, and the energy field is just one.
This is a teeter-totter of also pharmaceuticals.
Exactly.
There's so many very minimal expense of homeopathic things that would offset the pharmaceutical companies.
Yep.
They will have every page up quackery, hoodwinking, everything false, nothing works, except for it does in a lot of cases work, but the pharmaceutical companies will not let those go to get good rave reviews. I mean, now with the internet, we're getting some of it, but it's almost like what you're talking about with this.
With the energy people, it's the same thing.
Motor, yes, exactly.
It's the same thing. These people are so greedy, and it's. I'm not that way, so I have a hard time wrapping my mind around it. And I have no problem with people earning whatever you want to earn. God bless you. If you can earn tens of millions of dollars a year, that's fine. But when you're earning tens of millions of dollars a year off the sickness and the pain and the suffering of other human beings, I have a problem with that. And that's what happens with a lot of the pharmaceutical companies we're talking about. These CEOs of these pharmaceutical companies, some of them make as much as $27 million a year. A year. Okay, if you weren't making that money off of the suffering of other human beings, I'd say God bless you. But no, I don't agree with that at all. Not in the least bit. While people are dying, because why? They're having to ration their insulin because the price of insulin has gone through the roof. When insulin was originally invented, when it was originally found, the founders wanted to make it free.
Riscalla, but okay, you just said, we just talked about we have the opportunity to run vehicles on something that's clean, that you can put a paper towel on it, it runs clean.
Yep.
Then you wrap that up that all these gaseous fumes are making people sick, which leads them to pharmaceutical, which leads them to the hospital.
A vicious cycle.
Leads them to cancer. It is a vicious cycle, and guess what? It's all greed. The cycle is greedy.
Yep. It's sad. And I think
Why wouldn't somebody want water to run that clean? Because then you don't get toxic fumes, and then it just goes down. And believe me, I'm not a greenie that says that a tree hugger, even though I love trees, and I'm not saying anything about, and I know about the chemtrails what you're talking about, but I'm saying I know I use my brain to say I need a vehicle, I need to fly because I have to.
Mm-hmm.
But I am also saying that I understand why they won't let water be an energy source, because it doesn't poison people.
Yeah.
Unless you're in a Democratic-run city, and then it does poison you.
That and the economic effect, because there's so much money in oil, so much money.
Oh my gosh, yes.
It's unimaginable how much money there is in oil. So now you're talking about threatening that industry. Our government didn't like that with Stanley, and so it wasn't very much longer after he showed them how none of their ships would ever have to worry about refueling again, because the source of energy would be water. And salt water, he developed a way to take salt water directly without doing anything to just taking the water itself, without adding anything else to it, and transforming that into a viable fuel that could run their ships all day long, clean and no problem. Wouldn't have to store. Imagine how much weight, let alone how many gallons would these an aircraft carrier. Oh my gosh, this probably has enough. If it were, I think it's diesel, but if it were like gasoline, probably enough to run a neighborhood of cars for a month or two. That's how much is on there.
Well, we know technology is expanding rapidly. We can only guess what the government here and abroad knows that they actually can do, but what they will do is something separate.
True, unfortunately. What they will do is not in the benefit of the people, and that's really what they're here to do. But they haven't done that in quite a long time. Again, we're back to Trump. This is why they don't like Trump, because he is an end to many of the cash cows that are going on right now. He represents an end to, and fuel is not one of them. Fuel he supports 100%. But a lot of other areas. He's talked openly about the expense of drugs and how he's going to bring the prices of drugs down, because he sees how people are being literally financially raped with some of these things. Unfortunately, there are people out there who have to take them now. They're in a position where they don't have. I'm in a position right now where I don't have a choice. I have to take some of these drugs because of what's happened to me. My first opportunity, I'm getting the hell off of these things, but right now I got to take them. And they take advantage of people by knowing that people have to have these drugs, so they charge astronomical prices. Insulin. I was surprised at the price of insulin, how expensive insulin was. And when you think of the people who originally found it, wanted to help people. They wanted to give it to people for free or at cost, which was like 1/100th of what it's going for today. And this is what it's all developed into. It's all about money. It's like you said earlier. One market works with the other market. We get you sick, and then we go to the pharmaceutical companies, and they'll keep you happy by feeding you all of these toxic materials,
Yes, and then you look at something, and believe me, I am so healthy, it's ridiculous. I can still climb a tree, and I do. But I look at stuff in the like at a drugstore, and I want to give for instance, Prilosec. I've never had heartburn in my life, but I know a lot of my friends have had it. I remember when it was a prescription, $100. Now over the counter, $3 or $6. Why?
Yeah, it's no different.
I don't want to hear that they've fine-tuned everything and then it goes off the market and then it goes into regular brand and all. It's the same exact ingredient and inner ingredient. Yep. Why can they charge all this astronomical amount, and then when they've made their money, then it goes on the wholesale line for $3 or whatever, $6. But Riscalla, they were charging people, and believe me, I have friends that suffer bad with heartburn. They need it.
I used to suffer from heartburn, and Prilosec was one of the things I took for a brief period of time. It's when you have heartburn, like I had heartburn, I mean, it's like serious heartburn. Alka-Seltzer, it would laugh at Alka-Seltzer. It would laugh at Tums. it just, nothing faced it other than the Prilosec. And even the Prilosec would take it a day or so to really take effect and put everything out. After I realized that a lot of it was related to what I was eating. I was eating, It wasn't that I was eating garbage, it's just I was eating the wrong things and mixing them together, and that wasn't working for my digestive system. And so when I learned to do it a different way, I didn't need that stuff anymore. But and it was, fortunately I had insurance at the time, and it wasn't cheap, that stuff. So it cost them the same then as it
saying.
does now. Why is it $3 or $6 now? And it was, I don't know about 100, but it was quite expensive back then.
Well, I'm saying when it first hit the market, I guess they try to pinch you the best they can. And I'm sure I brought this up to you before, but if anybody doesn't remember, they really should look back. That Carly Fiorina that was running for president.
Yeah.
She did say something that was so on point that I will never forget it. She said eventually every big company is going to buy the other big company, and it's going to end up being one thing.
Yeah.
And you will see every drugstore, Eckerd's turns into CVS, turns into Walgreens, turns into there. It's just going to be global, exactly what we've been predicting.
And exactly what we don't want.
Economy.
Yeah, I don't want that. I won't speak for others. but
Neither
I'll
do
speak for
I,
you.
but we're watching it.
Well, we have to do what we can to stop it. And the way to stop it is with your pocketbook. You're the one who's buying their products, and your purchase of their products gives them the financial horsepower to go out and literally buy our representatives and our people in government. So if they don't have that, then they can't do that. And just the other way that that comes to mind is to write to our representatives of crooked you-know-whats anyway, and just tell them, give them a piece of your mind and let them know straight up. You don't get this straight, then you're not going to be around. As a matter of fact, I think I mentioned at the beginning of the show, this coming election, there is going to be the greatest number of open seats this coming election. And this is where we can have an effect on some of this stuff. We get the right people in there, then they can undo some of this garbage that has been done to us and make it more affordable and hold these people responsible. That's another thing. I just read an article earlier in the week where I don't remember what company, I think it was Merck, but I may be wrong, was being held responsible, financially responsible for vaccine damage. So things are starting to turn around. It's a very slow turn, but things are finally starting to turn around in the favor of those who stand for what is right. That is something that hasn't happened in quite some time.
I know, and President Trump, I guarantee, well, let me just rephrase that. I would think that when he gets in bed at night and his mind is not shutting off, he's thinking, people are crazy as hell. Because he's got to be thinking, I'm fighting for this country up against people that say they love this country, want to run for office, and they're fighting me every step of the way. He literally has to look at this as he is running an insane asylum.
Twilight Zone.
Yeah.
You know what I notice about him? He uses the word we consistently. The last guy was I. You think he was speaking another language. But if you listen to President Trump, it's we. And when he talks about what he wants to do for the country, it's for our country, not for my. It wasn't my country. It was our country. And it wasn't I did this and I did that. It's we did this. And to me, that points out a very important thing. And that important thing is the genuineness of the person who is doing what they're doing, realizing that their words are, it's just a lot of stuff that he says comes from his heart. And some of it isn't, it's straightforward. It's not sugar-coated. That's why some people are offended by it. But it's straight from the heart. There's no question about how he feels when he speaks out about something. He doesn't sugarcoat it. He tells it just like it is. If you don't like it, he's not going to apologize. That's Donald Trump. So when we look at how he has handled different things and how he has been what's the right word, a pillar, I guess, for things that are right, things that it's just right. You know that it's wrong to kill a baby. Come on. It doesn't take a rocket scientist to tell you that. You know that it's horribly and unthinkably wrong to allow the baby to be born and then kill. My gosh. That's just, and then for people who say things like, well, you kill them now or you kill them later. What? Or when a woman is pregnant, that's not a baby? What? So he is a representation to a lot of these people. It's the end of their scam, I guess is the best way to describe it.
And you're right. He does always refer. And he looks at the crowds and tells them, it's not for me, it's for you. He's not
Exactly
in that
right.
position for himself. He's losing. We've talked about this.
Yeah, he
He's
lost $1
losing
billion
money.
already. He's already lost $1 billion.
Yes, he's in there for us. That's why I said when that horse named Country House won, it was pointing to him because he kept saying, I am for you. This is your country. I'm working for you. It's our house. It's the White House is for you, for the country. Look, he speaks flat out straight English. Obama spoke Chinese. Everything was whining and apologizing.
And
Trump doesn't apologize. He scrutinizes and then he attacks to what he wants done. And he is getting the job done, but it's taking time because he has to go through all this red tape. I'm proud of him and I love him. And I love the job that he's trying to do.
Well, I'm very proud. I respect the man. I mean, look at him. He's in an age where it's his golden years. He clearly has had enough money to go buy himself an island somewhere and say, to hell with all you people. I don't need to put up with any of this nonsense. This is crazy. But he didn't. He decided to do the complete opposite. The other thing that he's sacrificing, and few people realize this, time with his son. And I guarantee you, this man and the relationship that he has with his son is vital importance to him. Very, very important to him. But yet he's willing to sacrifice that so he can try to undo what people have done for years. Years this has been going on. You have Joe Biden who's running against him saying he's going to fix everything. He's been in for 50 freaking years. It's taken him until now to figure out he's going to fix everything? I don't think so. I think people are going to laugh at him and go, get out.
I think he meant he was going to put the fix in. I don't think he meant he was going to be fixing anything. Look, there's something else about President Trump and Barron. Let's get realistic. This is his last child.
Yeah. Yep.
And there's something to say when it's spread out in that much of an arena of from one age all the way from 40 down to a youngster.
I think he's 11,
like Barron
11 or 12.
This is his last hurrah where
Yep.
he was going to really, not that he hasn't put everything into his children. They represent him in the best of ways. But this really was his last opportunity to be a dad to this boy.
Yep.
And he sacrificed that.
Yeah. Now, you'll never get that back.
Bigly.
Yep. You'll never get that back. And then you think about the attacks on him. You know his son hears his stuff day in and day out. All the attacks on him. He's a traitor. He's committed treason. He spoke to Putin, blah, 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 on and on and on and on. And then attacks on his son. That doesn't stop with him. It goes right to his son and his daughter and his other two sons as well. All of them. And this last subpoena for Don Jr., there's no practical reason for them to do what they're doing. They're making up all kinds of reasons, but there's no practical reason. He spoke before them for over 20 hours. Told them everything he was going to tell them. And then they asked him, well, come on.
I will tell you this right now. Don Jr.'s getting pillow talk from Kimberly Guilfoyle, and that's all he needs.
He's getting what?
Let me tell you, she was the prosecutor grande, and she is going to tell him exactly. I mean, you couldn't ask for a finer woman. And I'm telling you, this isn't just somebody he kind of trusts. That's his girlfriend. And when Kimberly is telling him the ins and outs of what they can and cannot do, I'm not saying that they don't have wonderful attorneys, but that pillow talk is when you love somebody, you're completely in their corner because you never know. Lawyers, and I was raised by one, they can be loyal, but you saw Michael Cohen. There's turncoats, too. Kimberly's not one that will ever turn on Don Jr. So she's telling him exactly what he's up against, what to do, what not to do. Not that he needs her to do it, but I'm telling you, when someone loves you and is in your corner like her, he's getting better counsel there than anywhere.
I just think it's ridiculous that they're making him come back again, and forcing him to come back and testify again. I hope that if he has to follow through with it, it's my prayer that he says, I don't remember. Oh, I'm sorry, I don't remember. I don't recall. This is what we had to deal with when Hillary and the rest of her group were up there. Oh, they didn't remember about anything. They couldn't remember this. They couldn't remember that. But by God, as soon as it was all over, she's writing memoirs about how she remembered this and remembered that later. So I hope that's what he does. I hope that if they force him to come in there, he says, well, either that or, my attorney has advised me to utilize the Fifth Amendment, and I'm going to remain silent. Or I don't recall.
What could they possibly want out of him?
They're trying to trap him.
27 hours.
They're trying to trap him. They want to trap him. This is what they did to General
Flynn.
Yeah, they trapped him. They use words to try to entrap people. There was a line of questioning. Kamala Harris was asking Kavanaugh, have you ever spoke to anybody at such and such a law firm about the Mueller investigation? And he said, I don't know. What do you mean you don't know? You don't recall talking to anybody about it? No, I don't know who's there. Well, so you're saying that you've never spoken? I don't know. Well, you're refusing to answer the question. I can't answer your question because I don't. Do you have anybody in mind that you're thinking of? No, that's not what I'm asking you. I'm asking you if you. So you see, it's an open-ended question. He may have spoken to an administrative assistant that may have worked for them at one time, and if he said no and they found out about it, oh my God, he lied to us. It's a setup. It's exactly what it is. It's a setup, and that's what they're trying to do to Don Jr.
It's ludicrous, and Don Jr. has some wonderful attorney in his corner. That's all I'm going to say, and he knows. And whatever he needs to do, he will do, but whatever he doesn't need to say, he won't say. And, there's a lot of truth to what your advice right there, because being raised in that kind of a household, I was told many times, if I asked a question and I shouldn't know, I was told, I don't want you to know. So if anybody ever asks you, you can honestly say, I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
And Riscalla, that's probably the best advice I tell a lot of people, I know something, but I'm not going to tell you because if anybody asks you, your answer will be honest. You don't know.
Yeah.
Because Kavanaugh didn't know. How would he know?
Yeah.
There's staff everywhere.
But that's the kind of thing that I think that they want to do to Don Jr., give him these open-ended questions. And then, it's the same way they got Roger Stone. It's the same way they got, I can't think of his name. I see his face and I can't think of his name. Older gentleman with white hair. I can't think of it. Anyway, it's the same way they got these other people. They entrap them. That, well, did you do this? Or did you? No, I didn't. Then they find out, well, yeah, he did something similar to that. Oh, well, you lied. Now you're going to go to jail. It's really. So I hope that he just gives them the runaround, the complete runaround, just like some of their people on their side when they were questioned. Oh,
yeah,
I don't recall.
I wish he would answer every question with, at this point, what difference does it make?
There you go. Oh, that's a perfect way to set off for the commercial. All right, it's that magic time. Don't go away.
You're listening to the Red Pill Reality Show on the LNM Network. Don't go away. We'll be right back.
What's up, Ricky Dillon here at the largest social media gathering in the world. So the internet is an amazing place, but sometimes it can be a not so great place with online bullying and trolling and stuff. Have you ever seen online bullying before?
Unfortunately, it's kind of common. Online, people can hide behind the internet. Those comment sections can be a little
harsh.
Yeah,
definitely.
That's a good word for it.
I've been called many homophobic names.
I felt embarrassed. I felt humiliated. It made me stop liking myself.
What if I told you there is something that you can use anytime that you see bullying online that calls attention to it in a nice way? Like, hey, that's not nice.
I wish that was the thing.
It's this! So anytime that you see any kind of hate online, go into your phone, go into the symbol section, post this I, and it says that that's bullying, that's not nice. So would you post this if you saw someone bullying someone?
Oh yeah, definitely. It's like a lot more mature way to handle the situation.
Find the emoji in your phone, send it to 5 of your friends, and let them know what it means to be a witness.
Go to eyewitnessbullying.org to learn more about the emoji.
Thinking of moving? Before you do anything else, call Diane Whittick of Bowen Realty. She provides a concierge service. Things like having your home or condo packed and shipped, even take care of your home repairs or upgrades. Diane has the expertise to get it done. As a seller, you will have constant contact. She will furnish you with bids on any services that might need completion. air conditioning, plumbing, handyman, and even cleaning. Living up north and have a home to sell here in South Florida? Just give her the keys, address, and a signature. Your payment will be wired when the property is sold. That's right, Diane does it all. Thinking of buying? Diane has great listening skills. Tell her what you want, give her your budget, and like a genie, she will make your real estate wish come true. There's no regrets when you choose Diane Whittick of Bowen Realty. To reach Diane, call 561-247-5478. That's 561-247-5478. Diane Whittick at Bowen Realty, located in Wellington at Wellington Trace East and Forest Hill Boulevard. 561-247-5478.
We just finished dinner and it was time for homework. He hates homework. It makes no sense.
I don't know how he finds anything in his backpack.
I can't find my backpack.
I couldn't even read his handwriting.
Holding the pencil makes my hand hurt.
I know he's bright.
Why is it so hard for me?
He's
I'm
just
trying
gotta
as
try a
hard
little
as
harder.
I can.
When you can see learning and attention issues from their side, you can be on their side. Go to understood.org, a free online resource with support and tools to help your child thrive.
Do you have an unusual pet? Did you know that the Rainforest Clinic in Loxahatchee specializes in exotic pets? They see pets that other vets don't. Parrots and chickens, ducks, geese, turtles, snakes, goats, pigs, lizards, and even monkeys. Are you a beekeeper? Dr. Clubb, the first of her kind in the area? Yes, she takes care of bees as well. Dr. Susan Clubb has decades of experience and known around the world for her reputation as a premier avian vet. Located at 3319 E Road in Loxahatchee, just a short distance north of Okeechobee Road, you will find a modern clinic with in-house labs, which allow you to get your test answers quickly. You can find them online at www.susanclubb.com. That's www.susanclubb.com. Or you can reach her at 561-795-4878. It's Dr. Susan Clubb. That's 561-795-4878. The Rainforest Clinic located in Loxahatchee. 561-795-4878.
Take the red pill, take the blue pill, take the red pill, take the blue pill. Take the red pill, take the blue pill, take the red pill, take the blue pill. You take the red pill, and I show you how deep the rabbit hole goes. This is your last chance. After this, there is no turning back. You take the blue pill, the story ends. You wake up in your bed and believe whatever you want to believe. You take the red pill, 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 take the red. You stay in Wonderland. You stay in Wonderland, and I show you how deep the rabbit hole goes.
You're listening to the Red Pill Reality Show with your host, Riscalla, every Saturday night on the LNM Network from 9 p.m. to midnight. And now your host, Riscalla.
All right, it is a Red Pill Reality Show. I am your host, Riscalla. Tonight I have Angel Strong with me, and you're missing out on an opportunity. If you have a question or a comment for us, you can call us, because I got the lines are open, 561-440-5174. We've been discussing current topics, a lot of what's going on today in politics, and some of the related subjects to it. Anyway, welcome back, Miss Angel. I greatly appreciate you taking the time to share with me tonight.
Now, you better come on my show.
Okay, I'll do that.
I know that you're doing stuff during the day, but one of the days you have to come on.
Yeah. Yeah, well, I'll see if I can work it out. I worked it out last Monday. Moved around a couple of, I had a couple of appointments. I moved them around so I could have that 1 to 2 gap there, and it was great. I enjoyed listening to it. It's very informative. Your perspective is unique, without question. Your ability to I think you call yourself a wordsmith. Is that what you call it, a wordsmith?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, a wordsmith.
Yeah,
And I have been a code breaker. I've been decoding things my entire life. And that's part of the fun of looking at it through a different, I take the veil off and look a little bit deeper than the majority of people. But once people start seeing it, you can't stop seeing it. It's everywhere.
Yeah. And much of what we see day in and day out is a form of programming. I guess you can call it programming. They call it marketing, but I would call it more like programming. If you ever look at the FedEx sign, you notice that between the X and the E, between the D and the E, FED, between the D and the E, there's an arrow. If you ever look at closely at a Wendy's sign, you'll notice that around the collar of the young lady that says the word mom. There's a lot of that goes on, and subconsciously we pick up on that, and they use it against us. Basically, they program us. They condition us to, that's why a lot of people prefer Wendy's over McDonald's. But I got to tell you, it's about the same. I don't think there's much difference between the two of them, but there are
subliminal messages. It's just like that guy that's going for the moon water. He's got Amazon. Now, if you look at it says A to Z with the arrow going from an A to a Z,
right?
To let you know that they sell everything
from A to Z.
But,
yep.
However, Amazon also should bring a message of like the large women that are going to take over a place. That's what Amazon is really representing.
I didn't think about
that.
that.
Of Amazon women.
Yes. Big women.
Yes. And that's why this total thing of feminine, the feminazis say that, you're not for women's rights. I'm for women's rights, but I also know that men have rights too. And I don't want women in certain positions. And I respect the gender differences, but I'm just telling you that Amazon thing has a hidden message to it.
Wow. And the Baskin-Robbins, if you look at the Baskin-Robbins, the B and the R, so the 3 in the B, the part of the B that looks like a 3 becomes a 3, and then the single stroke of the R becomes a 1, so they have 31 flavors, and that's how they show the 31. So there's all of this happens day in and day out, and a lot of people don't even realize what's going on. They see it, but they don't like me. I'm very much that way. I see it, and I don't recognize it. I hear it, and I don't recognize it. It takes somebody like Angel to point it out to me. RU-486, I heard that I don't know how many times. From how long ago? I never thought about RAREUYOU FOR 486, meaning in military terms, that's you're going to 86 something, you're going to kill it, you're going to do away with it, it's going to be done with, that kind of thing. So again, they're playing with words right in your face, and I wonder how many people recognize that.
Well, if they heard us, they do now. And what about, and I brought this up on my show, Ruth Ginsburg, they have a big happy 86th birthday.
Oh, yeah.
And then she's gone.
Yeah. Where
is she?
Nobody's seen her? Nobody's heard from her?
Since that 86 showed up, we haven't seen one hair of her.
And was it really her 86th birthday? I mean, I know that's kind of a silly... It was?
Absolutely. They had a big sign, Happy 86. The second I saw the sign, I thought, she's gone. They're measuring her up for a body bag.
I wonder how long they can keep her... I don't think anybody has seen her for months now. I think she's been out of the picture for a while.
They 86'd her.
How long?
Just make it up about her birthday. I mean, that was part of the puzzle.
Huh. I wonder how long she can remain absent before they declare that, we need to get somebody else.
until the ice melts. I don't know. I don't
Just
know.
a question
I
that.
just know she hasn't come back to her position. And let me tell you something. She doesn't need to. She's decrepit.
Oh, she's even difficult to look at.
I mean, I've seen bodies exhumed in Egypt that look better than that.
She's tough to look at. And so that means that the president will be assigning yet another one. And the one I think that he has thought about is Amy, and I can't think of her last name again. Amy
Barrett.
Is that what it is?
Yes.
I was thinking of something else. She's a very conservative individual?
Yep.
Yep, that's the one I'm thinking of. Yep, so we'll have, will it be 4 then? Wow, it'll be 4.
So that means that the president will be assigning yet another one. And the only thing that
What do I hear in the background? Oh, I hear a call coming in. That's what I hear in the background. All right, well, let me go ahead and take the call. Phoenix, Arizona, area code 623. Are you there? Area code 623. Hello. Well, they're there, but I don't think they realize we're talking to them, so maybe they'll wake up. But I can hear them. I said they've got something going on. One more time, area code 623. Are you there? I can't hear you.
Hello?
All right.
Hello?
Yes, go ahead.
Hello?
All right, well, we're not going to do that anymore. Can't figure out whether he's on the air or not. I'm not going to spend much time doing that. I have to figure out.
It might have been a problem with the muting button again. I don't know.
No,
at least somebody tried to call in.
Yeah, I get a lot of people, for whatever reason, they're scared to call in, or they don't want to call in for whatever reason. It doesn't. But it's a little more interesting when we get the listeners involved, when they become active. Maybe we're calling to see if they could listen to the show. I'm not sure, but I called on them a couple of times and they wouldn't respond. So anyway,
well, last night I know that people were absolutely listening to that show with Donovan.
That was some crazy stuff there.
I don't know. Yeah. Did you have people calling in? Because
only one caller called in last night, but there was people in the chat room talking about what was going on, and there was a lot of comments coming across there.
It was very interesting.
Anyway.
Last night I know.
Go ahead.
Oh my gosh, I just heard myself.
No, we have the caller's calling back, so I'm going to bring him on in a moment here. What were you going to say last night?
No, last night it was just very interesting. It was wonderful.
All right, I'm going to try one more time. Area code 623 out of, it looks like it's Phoenix, Arizona. Are you there?
Hello, Riscalla. Patrick from Arizona.
Hey, Patrick. How are you?
Pretty good. Yourself?
Pretty good. You're on with me and Angel.
Yes. Hello, you and...
Hi, Patrick.
Hello. Hey, I'm touching upon a subject tonight. I'm talking about, it's an ongoing issue, really, the whole, border policy thing, going unchecked and, always an issue going for quite a while now. Wanted to touch upon an issue, that, we discussed this before and we have our own agreements and or disagreements about it, but, the topic of abortion and all that. And I know you're against it in general when it comes to, say, making a business out of it or, having it done, when, say, the babies are actually even born. And we've discussed it, of course, our own personal issues about it, our own views about it, when it should be appropriate and not appropriate. But how do you feel about, in general, abortion, according to, should it be done, for those who are illegal immigrants who are carrying babies across the border, intending to be anchor babies, or getting pregnant across the border and intending to have them across the border to make it more difficult to deport them? after they have the baby.
So I think the question is, how would I feel about them performing abortions on illegal immigrants?
Yeah.
If they were only coming here, so it would be easier for them. Once they have a baby, I believe he's saying.
We're back to the anchor
Once they
baby.
have that baby, they know they're anchored into
Yeah.
this country because of that child.
I would not support that. I would not support that. I'm sorry.
Well, yeah,
Still-
because I know you feel strongly about the whole abortion issue and that the womb is, quote unquote, one of the most safest, supposed to be one of
Supposed to
the
be,
most
yeah.
safest places in the world
Yeah.
and all that. But then again, I know you've also quoted at the same time these people being enemies of our country, despising our laws and turning their thumbs up against our laws and everything. So it's kind of like, well, you still believe abortion is not appropriate for them because they're effectively creating bigger problems out of little problems by bringing smaller illegal problems over here that were either conceived over there or they're intentionally trying to conceive over here to make their deportations more difficult because they now have a legal baby over here.
I think part of
I
the
can answer how I feel about that is to make it no anchor babies. I don't care. If they have a baby, if they came over here illegally and they have a baby here, that baby is illegal and they're illegal. They don't need to be aborted. They need to be shipped back to their home.
That's right.
it.
Yep.
I don't care how they got pregnant. I don't care where they got pregnant. I care if they're a legal citizen. If they're not, baby and them get
gotta
thrown
go.
out.
Yeah, you gotta
It's
go.
that simple.
Yep.
They don't have to get killed, but they have to be removed
Mhm.
from the land.
Yep.
Well, unfortunately, it's not that easy, ma'am, because, they're going to be over here for a bit of time going through the court system. Once they're caught, they're going to have that baby here, and that baby's going to be considered an American citizen, and it won't be quick enough where that baby and them will get shipped back.
No, I understand all of that. I'm just telling you, as somebody that has a brother that was adopted from Cuba, we just did it the legal way. I don't have a lot of patience with people that come over here. I don't want to kill the child, but I don't want to support it here on this soil. If we need to help them on other soil, we can do that. It's cheaper to keep them over there.
I think part of the
But I know what you're saying. I get your point.
part of the
I'm not gonna
resolution.
bend.
Part of the resolution to this is to do away with this, because if I understand the way it was originally written anyway, that was illegal all along. If people come here illegally and have a child here illegally, from what I understand, it doesn't give them the legal right to stay here just because they had a child here. It doesn't give that child the right to be an American citizen because they came here illegally. So all of that is already in place. What they need to do is enforce it and not allow this to continue. These people come here against our laws and have children here in order to be able to be anchored here. Whatever legislation was passed is unconstitutional. It goes against the Constitution. If in order for you to be born here and then considered a citizen is your mom and dad are already citizens here, and then you're born here and you're a citizen here. Or one, yeah, one of them. I'm sorry, one of them. Yeah.
Well, yeah, there's a naturalized process, that happens for those who are employed or working overseas or military and whatnot. But, the fact is, the process we have in place is not effective. So, you can look at it from a moral standpoint or from a legal standpoint. Either way, what we have isn't working.
No, not at all, because they're not enforcing it.
I agree with you. I agree. I just say this: if you're unproductive, don't be reproductive.
Well, yeah, obviously, I couldn't agree more with that. But it's obviously easier said than done because there's some people from some places who are going to procreate and recreate whether they can afford to have them or not. And
boy, is that the truth? That's
unfortunately,
the truth right there.
And it's just it's the way it is and what it is. But I think there needs to be a lot more of a drastic approach, maybe even a controversial approach to what's been going on. Because the bottom line is, you have those anchor babies here, or you start trying to procreate with people here to create your own anchor babies while you are here. It's going to result of a far more difficult time to try to get you out of here
Yeah.
because you violated the law and you had no right to be here in the first place.
Good
so,
point.
What I would suggest would be far more, I guess, say, rigorous than really what's going on right now, really. But, the fact is what's going on right now simply isn't working.
It's a joke.
Something more needs to be done.
It's a joke what's going on.
It's a bigger wall or more drastic measures or means of curtailing people from trying to seek a better life illegally and not going through the right channels.
Part of it is, I don't know of any other country that you can go into, literally break into their country, and they're going to give you benefits. I've never heard of anything so silly. So part of it is that we got to stop that. That's insane. These people come here and then put a heavy load on our financial economy, a really serious drag on our. We're paying for all of this. So that's part of the reason for them coming here. They know if they can make it to a certain point, they're going to make money. They'll literally, and they don't have to work. There's no incentive for people to become a productive part of society. If you can break into a country, I can go break into Mexico and file for, citizenry, and because I can't think of the word now. I'm running from a bad area, or whatever, and so during the whole asylum. Yeah, I'm an asylum seeker.
Right.
And now they're going to pay me, in some cases, up to $30,000 some odd dollars a month, depending upon the situation. There's people who work 40 hours a week and don't make that much, So we got to stop the benefits. That's a big part of this. These benefits that go out to these people, it's a huge incentive for them to come here. We got to stop doing that.
Yes, incentive impacts behavior. But what Patrick said, I totally understand because I get very frustrated. Look, I would volunteer to help do tubal ligations. If they wanted to have their tubes tied, I would gown up and help to do that. But they don't. The majority of them want to come over here and have babies so they can stay here and get a check.
Well, again, it's because of the rules and regulation. We got to stop those. We got to do away with whatever legislation was passed that allows that, because the original intent was not that at all. And so they've gone against the Constitution, which is a criminal act within itself, but there's nobody who is upholding. It's just like when Obama sent all that money to Iran. It had to go through a lot of hands. Somebody had to say, okay, you can do this. Why didn't anybody stop him from doing that? The laws are already in place. It's just nobody's holding them up. Nobody's holding anybody else responsible. Again, and this goes back to Trump. This is why they don't like Trump, because he's holding people responsible. He's putting their feet to the fire. He's bringing it all out to expose it all. This is why they don't want him. There's just so much corrupt. The more that I learn about our country and the way it's been run the last several decades, the more horrific the story becomes. It's really is. It's disturbing.
It is, but listen, when you see those women, let's just forget that they want to have babies here. I want to know how, if they're broke and they're poor and they're miserable, that they're having 3 little kids that they're tromping across 40 miles to get into this country, where they have time and money to have those kids anyway.
Right.
I'm sorry.
Well, I guess
I am somebody that I have a heart, but I also have a brain, and both have to meet, and it doesn't make
to be
sense
a balance.
to me.
Yeah. Well, I mean, they may have programs like we have here, where people who can't afford they just do it for free, like a Medicare or whatever that's called. Maybe they have some stuff like that in Mexico as well, or other countries. That I don't know. But I know that the incentive for them to do what they're doing is the ability to become a citizen in some cases. In other cases, it's for them to collect money. If we could cut that off, then I believe much of the incentive for them coming here would be done. And a lot of these people that are coming here that are being financed by big money, big deep pockets, are being told, all you got to do is get to America and then you got it made, man. You don't have to work. You don't have to do this. It'll be a paradise for you. And it is. It would be a paradise. Could you imagine not having to work? And some people are making like $300 a month. But
listen, Riscalla, you and Patrick and I, the 3 of us, I would find any bookmaker to bet against us. If the three of us arm in arm walked into an airport, let's say Atlanta because that's the hub, and said we want to fly to Spain, all three of us are flying together, but where's your passport? We don't have one. Where's your drive? We don't have. We couldn't get our foot past one gate terminal.
Nope.
Not any of us. The
Yeah.
three of us could be covered in diamonds and gold and take off earrings and nope, you're not going. Yet people can just sashay into this country. We couldn't get 1 foot into a terminal like that.
Yep, you wouldn't even get down the walkway.
No.
No.
Yet they just pour in here. No.
Well, that's the insanity of, again.
I'm nice, but I'm not a milk toast. I'm not going to just bend over. It's just no.
Well,
the day's going to come, I think, when a lot of people are going to really get truly fed up with a lot of this stuff going on everywhere. And frankly, the things that are going to go down after that are probably things that they're not really going to care whether the media covers or not to address the problem. They're really not going to care. They're really not going to care at that problem, whether their actions to address the problem are exposed on the media or not.
Yeah.
That's what I see coming.
I
think
do too. We're reaching that point now.
Because everybody is very fed up with it.
Yeah.
I'm fed up with it. And, people have been abusing it for years. And slowly, I think some people's eyes have been opened about it. But you still have the media and everything going up against it, saying, "Oh no, it's not what this country was built about. It's racism. It's this and it's that, and it's unconstitutional, even though they're not citizens and all that." Well, you know what? I really don't care about them. They're not citizens.
Yep.
They don't have the rights that you and I have, or people who came to this country under the legal way have. And I won't treat them as citizens, and I will never treat them as citizens accordingly until they do it that way or become rightful citizens.
Well, that's the right thing to do. Unfortunately, people have not been standing for the right thing to do. And that's why we have this problem that we're dealing with today. Whether that is, we're talking about abortions, or whether we're talking about people coming to this country illegally, or whether we're talking about this country giving other country money openly, illegally. Nobody's holding what is right up. They're up until this period, up until 2016, actually 2017, when Donald Trump took office, nobody was holding anybody responsible. Donald is slowly holding more and more people responsible. Again, there's over 80,000 sealed indictments that are waiting to be opened. A lot of what you're seeing today with all the talk that's going on about the arrest of the Attorney General, all of that is just hogwash. It's just crap. It's them trying to protect themselves, and it's not working. More and more people are waking up to this nonsense and saying, this is crazy. There's no reason for this. And hopefully it's going to show at the next election.
When we say the name Donald Trump and immigration within the same sentence, it should be well noted and marked that he is the only president of the United States that has ever been married to 2 immigrants. I don't know why people don't understand that. He's not against immigration.
No.
This guy's married to Ivana. Ivanka, his real name is Ivana also. Ivanka's just like a little petite name for Ivana. But his first wife, Ivana, and Melania are both immigrants. He's the most immigrant-loving president we've ever had.
I think it's kind of a tickle that under his administration now, some of the minorities, like the Hispanic minorities and the African American minorities, some of them are now at the lowest level of employment, and in some cases in history of the country, the employment levels have never been that low. But yet people will complain and call them a racist and misogynist and all these other things, but they don't check the facts themselves. They just go with what they've been told. They kind of parrot everything. Anyway, we're almost out of time. Before we go, Patrick, I've got running out of time here, my friend. I'll give you a couple of seconds. Anything else you want to bring up?
Well, yeah, we have a great president who's doing his best under the most arid conditions, and I think his approval rating's only gone up from what I've read, recently, and yeah, he's never gotten the support of the media, or a lot of the mainstream, because a lot of it is really tarnished and really soiled by what is misleading, and really, I hope in time, he can get done what he can get done, against, all the adversary. And that the people who are in power or have positions right now can eventually be taken out in one form or another,
I think it's coming.
preferably,
I really do.
preferably a legal method, to do that.
No, I think it's
so
coming.
the country can be on a better stream,
Yeah, I do think it's coming, and in a legal way. I do think it's coming. I think there's a 180-degree turn happening, and I think much of that, a great deal of that, will be this new Attorney General, the General Barr. I think he's a no-nonsense guy, and I think that's got them really, literally shaking in their pants right now. That's why they're acting the way they're acting. Anyway, Patrick, thank you. Appreciate you calling in, my friend.
Patrick, thank you. Patrick, thank you so much.
Thank you, Riscalla. Thank you, Angela. I appreciate it. Excellent talking to you both, and you both have a good night.
Thank you, my friend.
You
Have a good
too.
night.
Bye-bye.
Great caller.
All right, Angel,
Educated.
I got a couple of minutes left. Anything before we go? Let's see. You're going to be doing the show Monday, right?
Monday at 1 Eastern, 1 to 2.
1 to 2. And have you set up to take calls, or you're not ready for that yet?
Not ready for that yet.
Okay. And there's a website?
Is theangelstrong.com.
You have to put the in there, right?
You've got to put the angel. Of course, there's only one, theangelstrong.com. But I appreciate everything, Riscalla, and I appreciate all that you do and have done.
I love it.
Thank you.
It's like one hand that washes the other. It's great. I've always said that not one person has all the answers, but together we can surely come up with what we need to move forward. And that people like you are helping that equation. You help figure out what's going on, and I appreciate that. Thank you.
Love you. Appreciate you too.
And I love you back.
Okay.
All right, my friends, that's going to be it, just about it for the evening. We'll be doing it again next Saturday night. Let's see. Tomorrow morning, we're going to be doing the Fish Florida show if you are bored. Or if you need something to wake up to, it's the Fish Florida show. It's primarily about fishing. Have people call in from all over. Tomorrow will primarily be people in Florida. It's kind of surrounds the southern part of Florida, but we have people call in from, oh my gosh, New York, Minnesota, Wisconsin, Washington State, Louisiana, Texas. So over a period of time, we've had calls from all over the place, and we just basically talk about a little bit about fishing and some of the things that go along with fishing, whether that's some of the accessories and some of the skill that goes along with fishing. And the greatest thing for me is that when I go fishing, it's like taking a peace pill, if there is such a thing. It's just very relaxing and very enjoyable. A lot of fond memories of me growing up with my family, the whole family, we go fishing, and a lot of fond memories of that. All right, we're going to head it on out. We may be about a minute early, but I'm going to head it on out. Thank you, each and every one of you. Thank you to the subscribers. Thank you to the people who donate. Thank you to the mods in the chat room. Appreciate all the work that you guys do. And I will be back with the Red Pill Reality Show in a week. I'll be back tomorrow morning with the Fish Florida Show. So you're welcome to join in. And I think that's about it for the evening, my friends. Thank you again.
Take the red pill, take the blue pill, take the red pill, take the blue pill. Take the red pill, take the blue pill, take the red pill, take the blue pill. Take the red pill, take the blue pill, take the red pill, take the blue pill. You take the red pill, and I show you how deep the rabbit hole goes. This is your last chance. After this, there is no turning back. You take the blue pill, the story ends. You wake up in your bed and believe whatever you want to believe. You take the red pill, 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 take the red. You stay in Wonderland. You stay in Wonderland, and I show you how deep the rabbit hole goes.
You're listening to the Red Pill Reality Show with your host, Riscalla, every Saturday night on the LNM Network from 9 p.m. to midnight.